Right, we're all set, and welcome to the Select Board and Wage and Personnel Board meeting of Tuesday, August 19th, 2025 at 5:45 p.m. LakeCAM is recording. Is anyone else recording? Seeing no one, we will move on to the call to order and Pledge of Allegiance.
Hunt present.
Plug in.
Carboni here. Excellent. In the corner of the room is our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 2 is our Select Board announcements today. It's not in the agenda, but Member Carboni, I'd love it if you would make the announcement from our event over the weekend.
Oh, I could certainly do that. Absolutely. So some of you may have heard of the Boston Post cane. It's a designation for the oldest resident in any New England community, and this started back in the early 1900s. And this weekend, we had the privilege of awarding the cane to resident Daniel Fernandez, who is 98 and will be 99 December 2nd. So it was a very intimate little ceremony, and it was covered by the Nemasket Week. So please grab a copy and take a look or check it out online. So myself, Member Candido, Member Plonka were present, and Member Hunt was there in spirit with us. But it was a very nice.
Very nice.
And it was presented by our Historic Commission, Jerry Taylor and Delia. Did I say that right?
Delia Murphy.
Yep. So it was really nice.
Yep. I appreciate everyone trying to make it, and we had some last minute scramble on the time, so we got more people than I thought could attend for that last minute thing. Today they had the 8th anniversary of SALT at the COA. Andrew, did you want to speak to that, or did you get involved in that? So there's a program that goes on. It's been going on for 8 years now, at the COA, involving our seniors and police forces, and it's all about making our seniors safer. And they have it every year around this time. I don't know if it's exactly this time, but around this time. And it's at the COA. Post should go up on social media sometime today to talk about it. I actually saw it on a social media post. Yeah. So it was one of those things that it creeps up. It happens every year, but it's just a way for our COA and our police department and the sheriff's department to make sure our seniors are being safe for things like fraud, which is so rampant now, and especially as our seniors are using their phones more and more, and getting people coming right in their home through their phones, and trying to defraud them and make them less safe and less financially solvent. Any other select board announcements from any of our members?
I just have a brief
Yep.
one. So our Senator Rodericks, who is a real advocate for the communities that he oversees, along with our Representative Norm Orrell, held a luncheon with our Lakeville people. So we had, I guess, according to them, the largest attendance of any community, with our department heads and
I don't feel bad about missing it.
But it's just a way for Senator Rodericks to stay connected with the community, and just say thank you.
Keep his ear to the ground.
For, all that we do to help support their work up at the State House. So I just wanted to give him a kudos for doing the rounds.
And I misplaced my paperwork, but I wanted to have a quick announcement. Andrew, if you could follow up and throw this out on the website. Every year, the Senate allows members to come in and learn the legislative process. So just citizens, they have to be endorsed by one of their public officials. I've done it. Member Carboni's done it years past. You get to spend 2 days up at the State House learning how to legislate, learning the process, learning everything you go through. So I saw the announcement yesterday or the day before come out from Spilka's office that they're putting out their feelers to see how many people they can get for this year's legislative session. It happens in October usually. So that will go out on the website, and I encourage anyone that's really wants to take a deep dive into the legislative process, and that's any of our citizens and any of our town employees or board members. I loved it. I thought it was a great exercise. It was really enlightening. It helped give me a good perspective on how hard it is to get through things through committee, and all of those points. So I think it'd be a valuable exercise for someone that's really committed and interested in the process.
Good plug. And I know that you actually get to debate a bill
Yes.
on the floor in the Senate. Kind of neat.
Dates? You know, dates?
I printed it out, but I left it somewhere. So I absolutely will. It didn't come in an email. It's on a Facebook post from Karen Spilka.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll forward that on to everyone.
And there's still a few vacancies, it looks like, on some of our committees.
Yeah, do you want to read them off?
Sure. So we are almost at full complement. So let's keep going. We're almost there. We are still looking for an associate member to participate in the Zoning Board of Appeals, a member of the Board of Registrars, and there are 3 vacancies right now on the Cable TV Advisory Committee. And if anybody's interested, we can put you in touch with somebody if you wanted to learn a little bit more about that. We have 1 vacancy on the Agricultural Commission, 1 vacancy on the Energy Advisory Committee, and 1 at-large member for the Zoning Bylaw Review Advisory Committee. So again, if you have, thought about participating in, municipal service, please, join one of our boards, committees, and commissions. I think it'll be a value. So we'd love to have you.
Next item is, unless there's anything else for anyone, no, is the town administrator's report.
Thank you. So Frank Moniz invited me out to see paving in action this weekend, last week, Friday. Give you a whole new perspective of what Frank does. So I went down to Colleen Drive and Staples Shore. Fascinating stuff. I don't know what if he'd be open to it or not, but if he could have select board members show up and kind of see what he deals with. A lot of angry people, as you can imagine. But I think the final work product is amazing. So last week he did Holland Road. So the entire Holland Road, I guess, extension from Freetown to Lakeville is completely brand new. Staples Shores Road is new. Colleen Drive is new. And so our final Chapter 90 allocation went up about $180,000 more than we thought. I think that came from fair share. Appropriation coming in even higher. So Frank, I think, was able to do over $1 million of work in Lakeville this past summer.
And Frank makes $1 million into $2 million all the time. He does magic with the way he does it. I know it's an inconvenience for a lot of people, but in the last, I'd say 7 years, we've caught up on 14 years of infrastructure. So we've been able to do an awful lot for the roadways and for people's safety and for the health of people's cars and suspensions as they cross the Lakeville roads. So much appreciation to Frank and his team.
And the only other 2 things I had, Economic Development Committee and Town Hall Building Reuse Committee met last week. Obviously new committees and new information, but I think it's a lot of good stuff. So if people in the public can watch those meetings, I think you'll learn a whole lot about the town. So that's all I have.
Any questions? All right, did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes?
I did.
All right, let us start with the minutes of August 4th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the Select Board and Wage and Personnel meeting minutes of August 5th, 2025.
Fourth.
Fourth. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Yep, fourth.
Seconded.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
And now the meeting minutes of August 5th.
I'll make a motion to approve the Select Board and Wage and Personnel meeting minutes of August 5th, 2025.
Seconded.
I have a motion, a second. Any comments, corrections?
Nope.
I do have a few too, but, Mr. Plonka, please.
Member Plonka.
Maybe select board announcements. Long Pond Association, that
Ah,
Yep, got that one too.
all
was the only
right,
one I had.
all right.
Okay. Under the Select Board announcements, it was member, Candido.
Where, am I wrong again? Don't you love me?
I do. I love you so much that it just wants to change that one letter, no matter how much I try.
I told you, nothing can compare to being
The C's and C's.
Bandito back in the old Matt Ferrera days.
Under the Town Administrator's Report, if we can just add Mr. Sukorth, Mr.
Yes.
Sukorth.
I was
that
trying
would
to
be
add
great.
A and it
Yep,
was not working.
It wasn't working.
No, it was very annoying, but yes, I could do that. That's all right.
I didn't see anything else. Is there anything
On
else?
page 2, under the Meet with the Finance Committee,
Yep.
Darren Beals, it's the first paragraph, Chair Beals called, past
Yep.
tense. Again, on page 4, under Discuss Town Council Services,
Yep.
Mr. Sukorth.
Oh, yes.
On page 5, under Discuss and Possible Vote to Schedule Fall 2025 Special Town Meeting, where it's December 1st, it's 20,205.
Oh,
Okay, yep. And then, under
Added a few
discuss, also on page 5, discuss and possible vote to accept the provisions of Mass General Law,
yes.
110G. I believe the vote was, as written, but also to begin with the select board.
Andrew, we took the select board language and we had it for select board, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were gonna start with that, with the select board, and roll it out.
Can
So-
you just reword that from?
Absolutely.
From
Right.
the tape?
I can reword it.
Because I don't have the wording we,
No, that's okay.
Used.
I'll go back and look at it.
Again, on page 6, under discuss and possible vote of support letter for 2025 open space, Mr. Page
we just referred to Sukorth.
It's that A.
Page 7, under the first paragraph, second sentence, library and with the assistance of, Frank Moniz. And then just below that, in the heading, discuss and possible vote to reappoint Lillian. So N to M. And under discuss and possible vote to appoint Melissa Turcott to open space, to appoint Melissa Turcott to open space as the Parks Commission representative.
Okay.
And then. Okay, page 8,
Yep.
halfway down, discuss on status of newly constructed pavilion. Halfway through the paragraph, starting on the left, discussed and agreed to place a plaque dedicated.
Okay.
And then lastly, on page 9, under the communication and community outreach
Yep.
committee update, it was noted that a planning meeting would be held to prepare for the initial meeting of the subcommittee. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
As amended.
Motion, second, and corrections.
As amended. Yep.
So do we want to amend the motion to say with corrections?
So moved.
Can I get a second on that?
Seconded.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
And that's it for our minutes portion. And on to discussing possible vote to approve select board minutes. The fall special town meeting warrant close it on September 12th. I love the end at noontime.
Yeah.
It's like opening bids.
Yeah, so this is when we allow, our warrant articles to be discussed and collected. And what other tasks do any of the people have to do before it gets to us? Does everyone know, their appropriate timing for their hearings?
Yeah, I was
So all
gonna
the board
say,
members
yeah,
have
they'll-
their notice?
the hearing portion will take place after the warrant's posted, so that stuff will come after, or after we've posted the warrant and figured out what it's gonna be. But I didn't know if the 12th, if that was an acceptable amount of time. It's 4 weeks, roughly. And then I just estimated the rest of the dates based on what we had done previously. So I took a stab at it for you.
I don't see any problems with
I don't
the
either.
schedule.
All right.
I don't either. All right, well, then I'll make a motion, to approve the, fall special town meeting warrant, and close on September 12th, 2025.
Would the motion be to open?
Oh, to open the fall special town meeting warrant, and then close it on September 12th, 2025
At noon.
at noon.
Seconded.
Motion a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Excellent. We are now open. Discuss and possible vote on excess equity process and procedures. As you know, there was a long time that we didn't actually have any takings of properties. We've rectified that, and the long road has finally come where we've actually exercised our right to take properties, and there are excess equity on some of the properties. There's been new laws put in place, rightfully so, to protect the owners of properties that have been seized and been able to recover some of their equity in their properties instead of it being lost to them. So we just need to get our house in order to decide how we approach it, where that equity goes, how long we hold on to it, et cetera, et cetera. So Andrew, I will let you take over on this.
I'll invite Erica up as well, the treasurer collector.
Hi, Erica. Welcome. Good, good. Thank you for coming.
All right, so one of the parcels that went to auction a couple weeks ago was taken prior to the new law going into effect. So that one the town would not need to give excess equity back. The other two parcels that we sold as like a package deal, that actually was taken around the time of the new law change. So that one we would want to give that excess equity back.
Now, our thought would be to bring it to the select board and say, do you want to handle no matter what the date was and keep them the same?
So you know my thoughts on it.
I
I've been
do.
very vocal on
Yeah.
it. The equity goes back to the
Yeah.
person. Like the idea of being in a financial hardship situation where you lose your home and you lose your equity on top of it. It's not something I would ever want to be part of, or not at least a vocal dissenter for.
Right.
So, but I will take a vote of the board if we want to formalize our procedures going
Right.
forward.
I should say there's going to be different circumstances for each one. If Erica, do you want to give like the background on 6 Central?
So 6 Central, the owner of record passed away. There was a quote unquote squatter there. So one of my first tasks when I got here was to evict that person. That person, from what I've been told, was the daughter of the person that passed away. You're all following me so far. I do not believe that where the town went through the avenues to get this person evicted, that person should then have the right to the excess equity. It's just the amount of money that was involved to go through the eviction process and the time that it took. So it was approximately a year to a year and a half after I started working on evicting that we could actually evict the person. So that person was there for, that parcel was taken December 31st, 2018. I started in October of 21, and that person was evicted around fall of 22. So that person stayed in that house approximately 4 years after the town took it. So it was in the town's name.
Question,
Sure.
did the person die intestate? Did they not have a will?
That I do not know.
So that's gonna be like a complicating factor. I think my thought would be we put it in special revenue accounts to basically wait until anything happens potentially with that.
I agree. Even though the circumstances that you describe, I think we should be able to recoup the losses for anything that we paid into
absolutely.
that, obviously. But anything over, my stance doesn't change due to the,
One last piece,
Circumstance.
we'll be collecting like about 200 grand between these properties in back taxes. So both of these properties had probably 20 years of non-payment of taxes,
Yep.
I would say.
yep. So that's great, and that goes to where it's supposed to go, because
Right.
I think we're entitled to it, but I'm doing a lot of speaking. I'd love the rest of the board to share their thoughts.
I'm in 100% agreement that I don't want anybody losing the equity, you know, in their home because of, you know, falling on hard times. So I'm 100% in support of that. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what we're voting on tonight, so.
It would be, if I'm understanding it correctly, Andrew, the vote would be what we do with excess equity, no matter what the situation is, because one of these properties did not fall under the new law, and the other two did fall under the new law. So technically, those other two our guidelines are set for us.
Correct.
Whereas in that first
Okay.
one, we have some wiggle room if we had so chose to take that equity. So that would be the vote, is to say any of the properties that were taken or started during the time where the law was not in effect, that we would set the law, the select board policy to say that we do not take equity, and that it goes into a account, and then it is dispersed at the time that is legally
Okay.
Yeah, we have
All right.
advisable.
I think we have to keep within the account for at least a year.
Yeah.
And notify the former owner.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so this motion, this proposed motion doesn't talk about that piece of it. So it's just about, enabling you to pay the back, addressing the incurred, taking that out of that money, right? Okay. All right, just wanted to make sure I was clear.
So again, so the vote is to authorize recouping our losses. Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds like a no-brainer to me.
Okay.
I think Erica and I's biggest goal is to get these back on the tax roll. Because I think we see generally that the taxes we get are not as high as they could be. The liability goes up every year. That hits our free cash eventually anyways, so getting back on the tax rolls, get what we were owed, and my thought would be to just let them have the rest. So,
I certainly take the same stance as you. I don't want to be punitive on top of everything else that you've lost the family property, and now we're gonna
Yeah.
withhold money
Thank
from you. I would certainly agree with things, the money being held in a separate account until there's some type of determination by probate and family. You never know how many people are actually involved until the final outcome. But you know, the fact that this person lived in the house for 4 years on the town's dime, they shouldn't be billed for any of that beyond the fees and the scope of
Yep.
things. You know, we're not landlords.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, so therefore
Motion?
I'll move that the town I'll make a motion, that the town administrator and treasurer collect to pay the difference between the sale price and tax title balances at the foreclosure judgment, plus costs incurred with the sale of the property for 6 Central Avenue, 4 South Avenue, 3 Walnut Street, and handle future tax title property auction sales in the same manner.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Aye.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
I think you're likely to see more tax title, in the future. You have a whole list,
Yes, we're
So-
working through.
yeah.
10-year backup.
But those, Madam Chair, but those will be post, will change in the law.
It actually depends, so some of them
Yeah.
may have
Oh,
been
some-
acquired
oh.
prior
Oh, so
to
we
this
still have
law
some-
change. It
oh,
depends
okay.
on when the town actually
And then
acquired
how many
them.
clouds there were on titles and stuff like that,
So
for the land court, right?
typically when the town takes the property, the tax title attorney has already gone through the motions, to find heirs, just to see if they'd actually want it and to pay the back taxes, to not even go through the tax title process, which can become costly. So I don't think that they'd have to do any further research on the heirs.
They don't have to do any, no, not on heirs, but on liens.
Oh, that I would think that they would have to.
Yeah. Okay. Next item is, oh, thank you, Eric.
Thank
You
you.
can stay for the rest if you want, but
Great night.
I appreciate it. Discuss and possible vote on social equity plan and host community agreement policy. Andrew, I'm gonna let you run with this one.
I'm gonna help, Emily, can you mind coming up? And then Nicole's gonna be probably the driver of this.
Okay.
We got notice last week that we need to basically do a social equity plan and, from the state. I think maybe the date, Nicole, was, May of 24 that we had to have done this by. Obviously, it was a long time ago, but I think the state's trying to crack down on this.
Obviously, it was a
more.
long time ago, but I think the state's trying to crack down on this.
Oh, that's you.
I know, get an echo now.
Moving everyone through the chair, yes, that is, the Cannabis Control Commission adopted regulations in October of 2023 that require the municipalities to create a social equity plan and adhere to the commission's social equity mandates. The deadline for doing that was May of 2024, but the commission's regulations said that they wouldn't actually start enforcing until May of 2025, and so that's why you're starting to see the non-compliance notices of deficiency go out to some host communities at this time. There are a number of steps that municipalities do have to take in order to comply, and I've provided a proposed social equity plan along with a host community agreement and a host community agreement policy along with a scoring rubric. So in a nutshell, the town has to create a cannabis webpage on your municipal website. And on that website, you have to have all the information related to the local approval process so that it is a clear and transparent, there's a clear and transparent forum where marijuana establishments can look to if they're trying to locate in the community, so they can see these are the required bylaws. I know you have specific regulations as well, including a marijuana operating permit. That would go on the website. Your host community agreement application would go on the website. Your plan, your policy.
Nicole, you're
as
saying
well as
website, but
scoring
you
rubric
mean-
so that these marijuana establishments don't have to look in 8 different places and try and figure out what's required.
Nicole, you're saying website, but you mean web page
You're
of
saying
the site, right?
website, but you mean webpage.
Of our Lakeville?
Correct, yes,
Okay,
a page on the town's website.
thank you.
You'll also have to upload any scoring evaluation forms that are used. So if you do get a host community agreement applicant and you fill out the scoring rubrics, once you adopt those completed applications will also have to go online, as well as a narrative of why you did or didn't enter into a host community agreement with a particular business. And so that's all laid out in the plan that I've drafted for the board to review. A couple of things that I will note. On page 3, if you look at number 5, we do have the option, if the town wants to, if the board simply wants to include it, to consider waiving or reducing fees for equity parties, including any application fees and maybe a waiver of community impact fees in a host community agreement. In addition, the Cannabis Control Commission has also just extended their exclusivity period for delivery licensees. So one of the things that the board could also add in, if you'd like, and it's not in this draft that you have before you, but it would be simple for us to give you the language for that. You could also choose to adopt an exclusivity period where the board would only consider host community agreement applicants that are those applicants that have been designated as social equity by the Cannabis Control Commission. It is a determination that the commission makes, not the board. And that can be through the exclusivity period that the commission has adopted, which is April 2026. So it would be a concurrent exclusivity period, if you'd like, as well as part of your equity plan. We've, as part of your host community agreement procedures, given you a form rubric. I know the town did in around spring of 2022 have an RFI process for marijuana retail establishments, where you have the town planner, the fire chief, other department heads involved in reviewing applications. If you'd like to modify the procedures in the draft that we've given you, you certainly can do that. It's just a sample template. It could certainly be tailored to address any concerns that the town may have, but essentially what it provides is that any applications would be reviewed first by your town administrator. The town administrator would score those applications based on a scoring rubric that we'll get to in a second. And then once they score, a particular score or higher, we have 75 in here, but again, that's flexible based on what the board deems to be important to having someone located in your community. If they score beyond a certain point, then they would be invited to engage in negotiations with the board. I do know some communities would rather do the initial scoring themselves rather than designate the town administrator to do that. That's certainly up to you if you'd like to change that as well. Again, it's just a sample of what you could do should you like to adopt. We've also included a host community agreement application because the regulations do require that you have to have clear criteria in order for a business to know what's going to be required of them if they're looking to engage in host community agreement negotiations. So we've provided, again, an application similar to what we found on your RFI. A lot of the requirements in there are the same, again, could be further tailored. We did leave out whether or not you want to include an application fee. To the extent that you did, the fee would have to be reasonably related to the costs that are imposed. It couldn't be, an unlawful tax. It would have to reasonably compensate the town for reviewing the application. So that's left blank. If you'd like to add that in or put that in, that's there for you as well. And as I mentioned, both in the policy and then also the scoring rubric that we provided, we've designated each point on the evaluation metric at 7.5. With the equity score being 25, that's a requirement. It's out of the way that we put it together here. It's out of a score of 100. One of the commission's requirements is that the equity status be 25% of the overall score. However you want to play with that, you certainly can. We've given, as I mentioned, every scoring points a score of 7.5. And we've put in that the applicant has to score 75 or higher in order to move in. And we've listed out what those scoring criteria are for the town to consider. I'm happy to review or answer any questions that the board may have.
This is a lot to go through in one sitting. Start with Member Hunt.
Going to take a little bit more time to digest this,
Yeah.
I think.
I think we should, yeah. If you have any questions now, though, I would say we should address any general questions while we have the attorney right here, but I agree wholeheartedly that this is just an awful lot to absorb. Boy, I really hate the sound of my voice. This is a lot to absorb in one kind of first reading. When is we have one more meeting scheduled before the end of, or we don't? We do?
No,
No.
not at the end of August, right?
So we would have to schedule an extra meeting, to get this in compliance for the requirements that have been laid out for us here. Other questions?
Madam Chair, I do. And thank you, Nicole, for pointing out under, on page 3 of the procedures, number 2, you know, the complete application shall be forwarded, by the town administrator to other boards. I'm glad to hear that you said that that is, something that we can, you know, could do. Because I do know that once, the special, you know, they come in for the special permit, there's usually a site plan review, that goes out to all the, you know, these departments that are listed here, and they get a chance to weigh in. I'm just, in my mind, I think that this is premature, you know, having, you know, they might just look at the application and, you know, not be able to weigh in from their department perspective, I guess. So I'd be willing to just have the, applications, you know, come into the town administrator and maybe a designee of the select board, to review the criteria.
Put that as a note on our conversation.
We also need to talk about a fee, because if there's a fee submittal, it would be for all, establishments, you know, looking to come into town. That would be, like a general fee, whatever that is. And then we would have the option of whether or not we wanted to waive it for,
What is a standard fee right now
yeah.
for that, I think is the question. Oh, now we can't hear you. One second.
Go ahead now.
Go ahead now.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So it really does vary from municipality to municipality. It has to be a reasonable assessment of what the town's cost actually will be in reviewing the application. So of course it is going to depend on what you put in the application, what the requirements are going to be, who you're designating to review this, and how much time it's going to take. I've seen other communities do between 250 and 500 on the higher end. But again, I would say it is fact specific and different expenses that are going to be incurred by Lakeville.
Kind of where my head was at.
Okay. Member Carboni, did you have
And where my head was at. Okay.
another
Did you have
comment on this?
No, I mean, it's pretty standard based on what what I'm familiar
No, I mean,
with
it's pretty
regarding,
what I'm
the
familiar
social equity and,
pretty
you know, this type of
And-
plan, so I'm pretty familiar with it. Pretty standard.
Member Plonka?
So regarding the evaluation metrics for the equity, do I understand we have some flexibility around this criteria, Nicole? Did you reference that, or make a note of that earlier?
You can adopt or you can create your own. So this is just a sample that we've put together for you. You can tweak the scoring that you're doing for each criteria dependent on what is most important to the town. So for instance, you know, your first one here, cannabis business, whether they have a plan, you might say that's very important. So you might want to award it more points. And maybe whether they're energy efficient, depending on the specific business, isn't as important to the town. So maybe you award that less points on your total points available for the scoring rubric. You can tweak those numbers. The only condition is that whatever you decide, and it doesn't have to be out of 100, right? You can make it out of 200. Whatever you decide to be your total score, 25% of that has to go to the final one there, which is going to be the equity component. And again, you can choose to, and you don't have to, you can choose to say we are going to have a minimum score, and whoever falls below that minimum score doesn't move on to negotiations. You can remove the minimum score. We have one here at 75 points, but again, you can certainly tailor that based on the needs and concerns that you have.
So if I'm reading the room right,
So,
I think the select
I'm
board would
reading the room
like
right.
some more time. Can we mute that?
we give that,
Ask her to just mute her mic.
Can you mute your mic?
When she's
Nicole?
you give your mic. Nicole,
I'm sorry,
Can you mute your mic?
you mute your mic.
can I mute?
Thank you. So if I'm reading the room correctly, some of the members would like some more time to digest this before we vote on it. But what I would like to do, is make sure we've compiled a thorough list of questions, that the rest of the board can see. So what I would ask of the board members is if you have questions that you have answers to, or anything that's not opinion, if it's a question or a fact, that we forward it on to Emily, and she compiles it all, so we can have it as one complete document for before we meet on it again. And then we will have I would say just a quick remote meeting to vote on this and any emergency things, because we don't have another meeting before the end of this month, and it needs to be done by the
We
end of this
send
month.
proposed edits or changes.
You can just, questions, on this, and then you can send also to Emily, to not send to the group, your proposals as well. But as long as your opinions don't get sent to the group, we're good. As facts and questions go to the group.
By what day, deadline?
By the end of the month. So let's see. Let's see if we can really go down to the wire. We could do the 28th, and we could do a remote meeting if that works for everyone.
What days are you proposing?
It is a Thursday.
Are you proposing a remote meeting on the 28th?
I am proposing wait, hold on, I'm in the wrong month. It is a Wednesday, right?
No.
The 28th is Thursday. Why is it not? I don't like my calendar. Every time I touch it, it goes to September 5th. All right, so it's the 28th is a Wednesday. We could do Wednesday or Thursday.
Wait, 27th is a Wednesday.
27th is a Wednesday.
You're in 2024.
Well, thank you, Chris. I'm like, what is going on? All right, the 28th is a Thursday. Does everyone, can we do a remote meeting on the 28th?
You're looking at August. Oh, wait, we're still trying to do August. Never mind.
Right, yes.
Okay, you're in the right place.
That's why we're having issues. Yeah.
I was looking at September. I'm on the right page now.
Madam Chair, before noon time or after 5, I could do a remote meeting.
Can we do 9 a.m.? 8 a.m.?
8 a.m. Yeah.
8 a.m.? Sorry, Andrew. Sorry, everyone.
No, it's not a problem.
We'd like to have a remote meeting on that date so we can finalize this and make sure everyone feels comfortable with the language. And Emily, can you distribute some of our current HCAs to the board so they can look at them and just get a feel for the other language, for the other HCAs, and if there's anything else we want to include or any information that maybe we don't like from what we have currently, and we want to make sure it doesn't permeate this new agreement as well. Okay. I do have a quick question for Nicole, and I know your mic is muted. So on this evaluation, so let's say we have the town administrator and a designee from this board. Will the board have to vote to accept the evaluation of this proposal or this candidate?
For this candidate?
So it does depend on what you decide to do with your policy. In my opinion, the board can designate that duty to one member and or the town administrator, or if the board feels that it wants to score themselves, you can certainly do that as well.
And does this evaluation become part of
Does this
their
evaluation
submittal to
part of
the CCC?
submittal to DC?
I'm sorry, there was a delay before and now you're just cutting out.
Does this evaluation become part of the applicant's submittal to the CCC for their license?
What I heard was, does this application and submittal and CCC for the license? So if you could try and fill in the gap of what's not coming across. If you're asking if this application gets submitted to the Cannabis Control Commission, it wouldn't. The only thing that would, so once you adopt the plan and policy, there is a self-reporting requirement. So you would have to create a login with the commission's portal, the town would. You upload your policy, there's a couple of questions that you'll be prompted to answer, and then that's it. Once it's adopted, and the commission should then be sending you a notice of compliance. There is a bit of a delay because they are reviewing quite a few of these. But then once you move on to negotiations and you do execute a new host community agreement with an applicant, the applicant will then upload that host community agreement with their application. The town won't have any further responsibilities as far as uploading that application to the CCC's database, if that's what you were asking.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're good with this item
Okay.
for now? All right, we're gonna move
Mm-hmm.
on.
We're
Thank you,
good with this
Nicole.
item?
She's not here for
All
anything
right,
else.
we're gonna move on. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Yes.
All right. On to the next. The next item is discuss and possible vote to approve following policies. Lots of policies are gonna be moving forward. We're renewing everything, which you really should be doing every 5 years. Before you is 4 policies. Introduction, which is just the introduction, the definition, the drug-free workplace policy, and the vehicle use policy. Let us start with the introduction policy. Who has questions or comments? And there she is. Hi, Lacey. Come on up.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for coming. Appreciate your time. All right, do you want to introduce it? And just talk a little about how you came up with this and what you're trying to accomplish?
Sure.
Thank you.
So the current way that we put out the policies is through an employee handbook. The way that it's revised is so that the policies are each individual. So as we amend them or we create a new one, it'll just go underneath into the section that it belongs in. And we don't have to redo an entire handbook and then reprint it. All of this will be able to be digitally out there. So the introduction is something that we hadn't had before, and it does allow us to put it now digitally and make the changes digitally, put it up on the website, and then it also allows us to make those changes throughout the year. So it's just the introduction saying those things.
Okay. Members, comments, questions on the 100 introduction policy?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So just at the top here, just, maybe it's, really simplified, but it doesn't really tell me much. So if it's the town of Lakeville employment and hiring, procedure, the introduction policy, but what is the introduction what does that mean? Introduction policy to what?
I'm confused with the question.
Introduction policy, I don't understand what that means.
It's introducing all of the policies that are gonna follow.
So this is the first page in the.
This is,
in the
would be
book.
the first page of a handbook. So if I were to print this out as the handbook, this would have been the first page.
Maybe it's just the way it's worded, I don't know.
Do you want it to say just Town of Lakeville introduction?
Or, is it human resource policies? Is that what this is? This is all focused on human resource policies?
So it's
Select board and wage and personnel.
personnel
board.
policies, yeah.
Okay,
So maybe we can just put that as the header, the select board and wage and personnel policy.
and then just have it as introduction. I just want this to be very clear and, defined, so if anybody were to pick this up, they would know exactly what this means. I had a couple of, so on the first paragraph, I know, because I read it word for word, the select board in the town of Lakeville, it should be are empowered, I would think, for,
You're the grammarian.
yeah.
Where's Bob? Where's Bob Marshall? He'd break that.
Can we phone a friend?
Yeah.
Okay. The amendment I thought was good. The distribution I thought was good. Errors, I would say maybe more of, updates and not necessarily errors, because I think that, we're not setting out to make errors, right? So if there's, updates or revisions.
How about errors, inconsistency, and outdated information?
Okay.
As part of it. I didn't have any comments. I do agree it should probably say Lakeville Wage and, Lakeville Board of Selectmen and Wage and Personnel Board, though, as well as the town of Lakeville, but that would be my only comment. Mr. Policy?
So policy 100 is new. Right.
Yes.
These following procedures are not, policies are not new, I know that.
They are.
That new,
So 100's new, 200 is just the definitions. I
Right.
added some in that hadn't been there in the past.
okay,
The drug and alcohol free policy, we had a drug free policy, and our drug policy is actually enforced based off the Federal Drug Free Act of 1988. So it did need to be updated to include, it didn't have alcohol, so we added that into the town. And then also, because marijuana is legal now, we also wanted to include that as well, because before it was just illegal substances. So this now includes marijuana as well.
right, so 402 and the next one, vehicle use policy, I know we have an existing vehicle use policy.
So I can't find where it was ever voted on, if we do, so
That's true.
I
Okay,
took, again, pretty much the policy that we had and just updated it to, reflect the more current times.
so,
Just on the introduction one first.
so I'd like to propose going forward that we have, are we maintaining a change history?
So that's the bottom, you'll have the approved date, and then if it's revised, the revised date will be underneath it to show that there was that revision.
Right, and will it include a change history? Not detail, but just a high level, this was updated, this was whatever, I mean, I've.
Revised.
My experiences with policies we have a change history.
Revision control.
So, meaning that the digital copy would have all of the revisions, but the one that
Yeah,
everyone
it's-
sees is this final copy? Or
No,
do you wanna see
Everything.
the
should always- yeah,
revisions?
Right, and you don't need to, you don't need to say line 4 or line 5, but you can just say in general, we added marijuana or something like that, something. And then going forward, when you submit additional policies to us, if you're revising existing policies, I'd like.
Red line.
The red line version, yes,
Yep.
we should see the red line version, please.
I think that's
Okay.
great.
Madam Chair, I had one other thing on the
Introduction?
introduction. Down in the bottom paragraph where it says that if there is a conflict between this handbook, because is it still gonna be in a handbook?
So we will print it for like new employees that are just being hired.
Okay.
And then it'll also be on the website, so it's pretty much either way,
And then you reference the town code.
yes.
We have a town
The
code?
bylaws, is that bylaws?
Is it the bylaws?
It's that codification that Lillian has, that everything's,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
what I was
just-
going by.
Could we
Is it not
change the
code?
language on that? on the-
Bylaws?
Was it the E?
Is it E-code?
I think it is the code.
Yeah. I think
E-code?
It's E-code.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with that, the bylaws?
So back 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we got some grant money together, to do, take all of our bylaws and look at them and update the language. A lot of times there was some very antiquated language, a lot of that language being also selectmen instead of select board too, and antiquated language. And we voted, I think at 2022 or 2023 town meeting in buckets to do that. All of that stuff ended up going into a database. So before that, it was not on a database. It was, you had to find it in a book, or you would find snippets of it on the website, but sometimes the website had old stuff instead of updated stuff. So that is our most up to date. So everything we do now for every town meeting that we go through, all of those new bylaws pass through Lillian's office, the town clerk's office, and go into E-code. So now they are accessible to all.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
I will follow up with her and get more information on that. E-code. So, code is same as bylaws.
Yes, it's just a repository for all of the bylaws.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Hunt, anything on the introduction policy?
Negative.
I'd like to take a motion to approve the introduction policy with amendments.
So moved, but yeah, before they get public, yeah, just have with updates. I want to see it.
Yep.
Before, okay.
Yep.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candy, do I?
Carboni, aye.
One down. Does anyone have any comments on the need for or the purpose and scope of the definitions or the definitions themselves?
I have some corrections, but I do have some content stuff, so the corrections, I can certainly pass this on, but, under the department head, definitions, page 1, a position having immediate, supervision, I think providing immediate supervision might be a better way, to describe the department heads.
I'm okay with that.
So they're providing control?
A position providing immediate supervision and control of a department or division. And I know I'm a consistency bird, but, just where we have, we spell out a number, if we can just put in parentheses, the numerical value. Like, for example, where you have 52 weeks, you have 52 and then 52 in parentheses under full-time employment. Under like the exempt employee, where it's got 40 hours, if you can just consistently do the same on that one. And I think it was somewhere else in here too. I wrote, policy, so, just thank you for your patience. 'Cause these are the things that kind of jump out, the consistency. Under leave without pay on page 1, the first word, I think we have that absence, maybe it's an absence. An absence which may not be charged to paid leave.
This almost seems like legal wording, the way that you have it, that, in there, so yeah, I would agree. An absence would be a more user-friendly use of the term.
Right.
Is there any material changes or any, discrepancies on what any of the definitions are?
I'd like to add a definition
And that would be?
on that page. I note on the drug and alcohol policy, under one of the sections, you mentioned the word conviction and having been found guilty in a court of law. Theoretically, somebody could have a drug possession case and get maybe a continued without a finding, which would result in a couple years of probation or something like that, and not actually be found guilty. A quaff is, you've admitted to sufficient facts, the judge has found a preponderance of the evidence to support the charges against you, but it's not actually a conviction. And I don't know about.
So would we change it, we would put the word conviction and then put all of the things that conviction would mean?
I'd like to see something in there that, it could mean, a continued without a finding or something where.
Legally responsible?
Where sufficient facts have been found
Okay.
in a court of law, not necessarily a guilty. You, in theory, you could give somebody an out that has a heroin possession at work, and I didn't get found guilty, I got a quaff
Yeah.
on that.
All right, so we'd want to add that in the definitions, and then again, when we go into the next section as well.
Just a quick question, was it your intent, Lacey, to, under all the policies that are coming before us, to have the definitions that are in that policy in the main definitions part of the?
No, because so the reason I did that was because these are like your common definitions that are used throughout reoccurringly. These are specific to that policy, so if I did definitions for every single policy, I have like 50 policies right now, the definitions would be just insane. So these are just the ones that came like straight out of the handbook itself that we had for definitions, and then if I had something new, I put it in the actual policy.
Okay.
Just a note on the definitions, real quick, I just want to bring it up. So Massachusetts does not have a legal definition for full-time or part-time employees. There's no legal distinction between part-time employees and full-time. Customarily, terms and conditions of part-time and full-time are similar. All the benefits that are based on scheduled or hours worked are usually prorated. The reason I say this is because we had spoke about potentially going from the 14 to the 24. So the handbook did have 19 and under as part-time, 20 to 30 as part-time prorated, and then 30 to 40 as being full-time. So if we're looking to change the part-time, it would also need to change in those definitions. Currently, we don't have anybody that's part-time benefit eligible, so it wouldn't change anything in the like if you were a part-time benefit, I'm not saying, oh, now you have to work 4 more hours in order for you to maintain that. So it wouldn't change anybody's benefits. And according to all of the collective bargaining agreements, the select board personnel wage board, has the right to manage the affairs of the town and maintain and improve efficiency of operations to determine methods, means, processes, and personnel by which operations are schedules and hours of work and assignments of employees are to work. So it does allow you in all of them. It wouldn't also affect any of the collective bargaining.
So would we be able to, in these definitions, are part-time, could you have part-time 24 hours? Or does the benefit eligibility kick in after 20?
So we could do 24 and under being non-benefited, and then 25 and over would be benefited. I'd also like to put in there, because in the employee handbook, it just says benefit eligible. Benefit eligible to me is a very loose term, in the fact that if I have a person come in and say, well, you said I'm benefit eligible, so I should be able to have health benefits or dental benefits. I think that, and you'll see that I wrote it into the definitions, that benefits specifically pertain to paid time off benefits. So I cut it so that it doesn't just say benefited, it actually just pertains to time off, so that there's not a question of, well, what about health benefits and life insurance and those sorts of things. Up to the board if they do want it to have prorated for health benefits, but I would need to know what the town is looking at for supporting that.
So I don't know what the taste is for that, but I just want to make sure that I'm clear. Now, say if we did a part-time role for 24 hours, that's, you know, a non-benefit position, does Plymouth County look at it the same?
Yes.
It
Plymouth
does.
County goes by whatever the municipality has.
Okay.
So when we onboard a person, we fill out the form with them and we check whether they're part-time or full-time.
Okay, so we wouldn't have to add into the future burden
Right.
on it, on a part-time employee. I just wanted to clarify. Does anyone have any more questions on what Lacey was saying in specific? No, I appreciate the call out on what that means, because again, we all think the same thing, but we don't.
So just on that, if I can, Madam Chair, so it's gonna be 20 hours or more would be benefit eligible, based on that conversation,
We could make it what we wanted,
up to,
up to 30, right? Or did I hear it wrong?
So you want to do a part-time, if you want to do part-time non-benefit, you would go up to whatever
24.
hours. 24. And then you could say 25 to 30 is part-time benefited, prorated just for time off. I would say time off, and again, up to the board, but right now, benefits could mean also other things.
so if we, whatever this board decides, it has to get
Added
woven
into
through
here.
here, because I know, you know.
And we don't have to approve this tonight.
Yeah.
This can just be the first reading of the definitions. But this is a really good start that we're having this conversation. So if we want to change that language, to say the part-time non-benefited, we could put, it's the one under the benefited, we could put up to 24 hours per week and have that encompass some of the things that we were talking about at our last meeting. Were there any other definitions that people wanted to talk about? I want to give everyone leave to have a conversation with themselves after, because there's always something that you think of after. So we can vote this one after, if that's the board's will. All right. We will move that one out. Next one is 402. The drug and alcohol-free workplace policy.
So we do have this policy in the town right now. Our policy was the exact replica of the 1988 Federal Drug-Free Workplace Act. Controlled substances, that is actually their definition, and by definition, alcohol, is not considered a controlled substance, nor is valid prescriptions. However, they do include marijuana federally, so that stayed in there for this time. What I added in is under the policy, number 4, the very first part of it is all the same. I put the very last sentence, furthermore, employees are not allowed to be under the influence of drugs or alcohol, intoxicated, possess or use controlled substances or alcohol at the workplace or during working hours. That was an addition that was not in the previous one.
I think that's good and specific.
Madam Chair, should we maybe expand it and add one more condition? Include while conducting town business, because that could be somebody.
So here's my one
Outside of
caveat
working
there.
hours.
Sometimes we go to fundraisers, and if you are actually conducting town business, or you're at a retirement party or anything, I wouldn't want to preclude someone from having a glass of wine. Like, I don't want to be so prescriptive that we're telling people what to do, but at the same time.
Because if I can, on Mr. Plaka, there was another addition and had that as well. You know, where it would be, you know, alcohol at the workplace, comma, during work hours, comma, while operating town-owned vehicles or equipment.
That's on the
Comma.
That's on
vehicle
the
use
vehicle,
policy.
yeah, that's on the next one.
Right, but I said on this one as well, like adding it onto this one, but,
I guess that's, I mean,
or
it's not gonna hurt
conducting town
anything.
business was the other one too, so. I see what you're saying.
Because if town business is social and you're out to dinner and you're having a glass of wine, you'd be in violation. And I would never want to put anyone in a position where they felt awkward about having a glass of wine while they're, you know, they're at a conference or something, because you are technically conducting town business. There should be a standard of decorum, of course. We're not looking for people to put the town in difficult situations, by drinking, but I think if we open the door, we open it all the way, and it might be too much overreach. That's just my
Okay.
thought, but I do not have any problem personally with adding, town vehicles or equipment to this, to make sure that we've captured the whole, if not the letter, the spirit of what we're trying to do.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah. Mr. Hart, any comments or questions? All right. If anyone feels comfortable with it, we can make it with changes, or, Member Carboni, did you have more?
No, just simple, just, on the back page, where you have HR director, if you could just spell it out, human resources. I know we're trying not to use acronyms and.
Yeah.
Which one is?
Back page.
In the last paragraph,
HR
it's in a couple spots, but.
So, I
So
take a
Madam
look.
Chair, do we want it for policy include operating?
Yep, vehicles
Yeah.
or equipment.
Town
Vehicles or equipment. Any vehicles or equipment, town ones. No chainsaws, yeah.
Yeah,
so-
no chainsaws.
So, town vehicles or equipment would be the
Okay.
addition on there.
And then the cloth.
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that. I mean, you reference nolo contendere in a following paragraph, but, you know, we gotta have a little
Definition.
coverage
Yeah,
there.
I got you.
Okay, perfect. I'll take a motion on this one if everyone's ready to vote.
I'll make a motion, that we adopt the drug and alcohol-free workplace policy, numbered 402 with, corrections, updates.
Updates.
Seconded.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Did these go into effect immediately?
I would say that's as soon as,
I'm gonna put the approved by date as
Yeah.
today.
yeah,
Okay.
as soon as Lacey can get that in her schedule and pop it out there and give it to the masses. So that you bring up a really good point for discussion. So when we had talked about it earlier, like, this is something we could do the electronic signatures for too, so no one has to do a whole new book again and sign the book and the pages and stuff. This can all be collected electronically. It's much quicker, and you're able to track the compliance immediately, you know, by who gets it and sends it back in their email. So this will be, it's not easy, but it'll be easier than the way you would have had to collect it in the past.
Yep.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Aye.
Block eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Fantastic. And last for tonight is the vehicle use policy. I had a couple comments under section 4, municipal vehicles. It calls out some specific municipal vehicles. That's not all of the municipal vehicles that are being used currently to take home.
Okay, so I actually had a correction on that. The police chief and the fire chief are the only ones that have a contract that states reasonable use. So I actually want to strike out the deputy chief. The other people that have vehicles that they do take home are not allowed to use them for any personal use.
So just the police chief and the fire chief are allowed to use it for personal use?
Yes.
Then I think we'd need some definitions on the people that are using it to take home. Because
It talks about if they're taking it home or over 24 hours. It has it in here. So it's in C, assignment of municipal vehicles for 24-hour use, vehicle used approved for commuting purposes. So that would fall more under that one.
And you're alluding to animal control and DPW?
Yeah, we have animal control, we have DPW. There are nights when, either the captain or the lieutenant of the, police department will take a vehicle home if they're on call. Same thing with the fire. There's times when they take a vehicle home because they're on call.
Yep.
But they should be then meeting this policy's criteria to say that if they are taking it home, they have a copy of this and they're signing it, understanding that the use of it means they're following these guidelines.
does the section C, number 4, call it out in specific enough to make sure that the people that are impacted by this understand the change in this policy? I just don't know if someone's gonna read it for context, like in that way, that's like that, oh, that's me. So that's just my only question, and we should have a list of people that are available to do that, and that should be a really short list.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say not gonna prevent us from voting on it, but I just wanna make sure that we have the very specific people we're talking to about this, or could possibly talk to about this, and that they're alerted, because this is a change.
Yep.
Thank you for the clarification, though.
And then one other thing, I did have an addition to the policy, so it would be added into section 5D, where it kind of outlines the general rules governing municipal vehicle use. It would be number 12, and it would say, with the exclusion of the Lakeville Police and Animal Control, employees are prohibited from having firearms in town vehicles.
Yep.
So police obviously allowed to carry, animal control, any of those are also, they have to have a license to carry, and they do carry in case there's an issue where they have to put an animal down, unfortunately. So they're the only two that would be authorized to have a firearm within the vehicle.
And what number was that in D?
So I apologize, I added it after, your copy of it. It would be under section 5D, so section 5 being general rules governing municipal vehicle use, D.
Yep.
And then it would be number 12 would be that addition. So right now there's only
Okay.
11, I would be marking it as 12 as an add-in.
All right.
Madam Chair, may I ask, what's driving that requirement to infringe on their right to?
You have no right to
It's a
have-
municipal
yeah,
vehicle,
you have
it's
no
not a right to
gun
carry
in a
in it.
municipal vehicle.
Does that fall under Mass General Law with firearms and public property, or is this separate?
So this is separate. So Mass General Law excludes you from being able to carry in municipal buildings, bars. It does not speak about municipal vehicles. So this covers us to say you're not allowed to have it in a vehicle.
Unless it's part of your job, like the animal control officer and police officers.
It's the same thing with the GSA. If you had a GSA, you couldn't carry in there.
GSA.
They're talking.
Government
They're
service
talking.
automobile.
They're talking military talk on us now, Lorraine, keeping us out.
All right.
All right, I had another question on, D10. No employees shall use a municipal vehicle for out-of-state use without advance written approval from the town administrator. It should also be, and if I missed it, I apologize. They should also not be getting any reimbursements as well for anything out of state unless they have approval.
I think I have reimbursement.
I
in
couldn't
there.
find it if you
It is in
did,
here.
but did you have that it had to be approved for reimbursements? Okay, you do have it in 5A4. Authorized to travel outside of Lakeville.
Yes.
Okay. That's sufficient.
And then it also talks about if they are driving the vehicle, the town does have the right to request, a driving history, and that could be within every 6 months.
So that brings me to a question. It's like you read my mind. How often do we check our municipal employees that drive vehicles for issues? Like when you're hired, you know, you've been here 20 years, are we checking anyone? Like if we're doing it on a random check or anything, I just think it's always been a little bit set it and forget it.
Yeah. So
For
the
all
only
those type
ones
of
that
checks.
we absolutely require, and it's because they have to continuously update, is DOT. So anybody that is a DOT driver is required every so many years to go back through like the physicals, and then they do the drug testing, and then they also have to supply their licenses. I never saw a physical policy that I could have placated off of, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna say none.
Yeah.
This at least allows us to
You know what
have
I'm
the
saying, right?
ability.
Because every
Yeah.
5 years, we should be checking because we had incidents in towns that I've been in where a police officer had like a bad driving record, from another state, and it just wasn't a known entity. It didn't get called out.
I assume there's no automatic notification from the
That-
registry.
I was gonna ask that question. Now that we're up in the internet age, and I'm not showing my age here, like, is there a notification that goes out, or?
Now bear in mind, I'm multiple years retired, okay? But my understanding is there are still a number of states where we have no reciprocity with them. They don't tell us.
Yeah.
No, so we run 2 checks when you get hired. We run Corey, which is just state, and then we run Safer Places, which tells us anything in the US. If they were to have some kind of driving history within another state. So that would be the one, if the town requested or required, that we could run,
No.
which would tell us.
I just have concerns with like just how we've done it in the past, and like and that goes for everything, the Corey as well. Like we don't run Corys yearly on people. Like
No.
we hire someone and 10 years down the road there might be an issue, and we wouldn't be alerted to it.
So what's the liability if a town employee incurs a bad driving record, gets into an accident, and we didn't do our due diligence, and
and that's a question for our insurance carrier for sure, but I'm sure it's similar to, you know, a discussion we had before about, you know, the bodily harm being paid, but the vehicle being on us, or, you know, or something. It could be a very big liability, and I don't know enough about it to be able to say what that liability is, but I think it's something that, coming up through these policies, we should probably have something together for, you know, a 5-year look back for all the positions, just to keep everyone safe.
Of course, the Corey policy is coming before you soon,
Okay.
so.
All right.
It's like a happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, all right, much appreciated. Vehicle use policy, anything further to discuss in the vehicle use policy by any of our members?
Yep, if I can, just under the definitions, if you could add your, referring to the policy definition like you had under the previous one, where it says refer to policy number 101 definitions. Yep, if you could add that, would be wonderful. You have on page 3, under C, the assignment of municipal vehicles. Assignment of vehicles will be made in writing. Do we have a form that they fill out, and is it kept in the HR? Is that something that you initiate, or who initiates that?
So that would be a form that we would require.
Okay, do we have the form?
I do not.
Okay, so we need a form.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's an action item.
Yep.
Okay. And you keep it in file in your office, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And then, page 4, under 9, D9, B4, D9, A, 9A, such fines by the town as approved by the select board. We have fines? Or do we have to establish fines?
Traffic and parking, this is just regular fines, right? Like, this isn't our homegrown fines, this is paying fines
Okay.
that they've incurred.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
so this is somebody, I don't know, parks in a meter spot, doesn't pay the meter, they get a fine, they come to you and they say, please, pretty please, I promise I
Yeah.
didn't mean it, will you reimburse me the $5 that the state charged me?
We
All right,
say
so
no.
So it'll be under the parking clerk.
And we,
Okay, initiate, okay.
parking clerk, yeah. All right.
All right,
Are we good?
I didn't have anything else.
All right, I will take a motion.
I'll make a motion, that we approve the vehicle use policy number 509 with, I guess, changes,
Yep.
period.
Good. Can I have a second?
Seconded.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Long eye.
Indeed, do I.
Carboni, aye.
I know this isn't fun, but it's important for us to get this done. So I appreciate it. Next item up for bids is the discussion.
Thanks, Lacey, very much.
Thank you. She doesn't have anything else, does she?
Oh, yeah, number 7
I'm 6.
and 7, 6 and 7.
Yep.
Actually, let's have Lacey come back then.
Hi, I missed you. I'm
Right,
back.
we missed you so much.
Okay.
Let us move down quickly to 6, and discussion and possible vote on part-time planner job description.
Okay.
I know we have this conversation, we had a further conversation just now on the 24 hours.
Yes.
In order to make this whole, if we were to approve it, we are able to put the 24 hours. If you can tell us a little bit about this description, what it has, what it's missing from the full-time description, and how it differs from the clerical position.
So it's the same exact job description as the full-time position. The only difference is what I did was I took the salary range and I broke it into an hourly wage. So that's why you see in the hourly range, the amount is what the salary would have been.
Got it.
That's.
So it's commensurate.
Yes.
For, as an hourly rate.
Yep. And then it's up to the 19 hours. I left it that way in case the board hadn't approved the definitions or had approved that yet. So there is some, I feel like it's any position. So there's job criteria in the planner that's also in the planning clerk, and that's just within like any position. The planner is going to do clerical work that the clerk does, and the clerk is going to help with some of the planner responsibilities. We do that on purpose just because, example, HR, so it's me and an admin assistant. In my job description, it talks about payroll. I really don't do the payroll so much, we have somebody, but if he were out, the expectation would be that I was going to do the payroll. And then there's also where he has responsibility with job descriptions, but I handle the job descriptions. However, if I were to be out, it would be accepted that he would step in and assist in job descriptions. So there's always a little bit of cross in all of the department heads and the assistants or the clerical, and it's just for that reason.
Did this, get a stamp of approval, through the union? Did this go by the union?
So that is the planner position, that is non-union.
I'm just saying in relation to the clerical position. I just want to make sure the union has no objections
So the union does not approve job descriptions. The union only approves allowing that position to now be in their union.
So my question then, I'll rephrase it, is would the union take objection to anything in this position as it relates to a union position?
No, so it clearly states in their union agreement that the Select Board, Personnel and Wage Board has the right to establish new job classifications and job duties and functions, and to change, reassign, abolish, combine, and divide existing job classifications for all jobs. You have the management rights on it. The only thing that the union does approve is if we were to say, hey, we're adding a job classification to now be integrated into the union.
All right, members, comments, questions?
I just had one under the qualifications, just the level 1 and level 2. I'd like to just see if it was just the same as to the 3 to 5 year experience, because I know that, we're trying to get somebody in here who can hit the ground running with experience. And then I think, there's an opportunity for us to go back and look at, bringing in a level 1 if we were looking to.
A level 1 full-time is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I agree. If we're going for a part-time, it should be a level 2, because we don't want to combine the lack of expertise with more time.
Okay.
We would like to have, and I think that was the intent of the conversations we had, that if we are going with a shorter time frame, we want a higher
Okay.
caliber of experience.
So I'll just take out the levels and leave it as one whole job description.
3 to 5
3
years
to 5,
of experience.
not the 1 to
Yeah.
3. Okay. Yep. And other than that, and up to 24 hours, right? We'll
Yes.
add that there.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
in here somewhere. I saw it on the back page, I think, yeah, on working conditions. So instead of up to 19 hours, do we want to feel comfortable like putting 15 to 24, or do we want to just say up to 24?
Up to 24, I'm comfortable with.
Up to 24. Anyone else? Up to 24. That gives the flexibility that if we have something significant to go to, that we have the ability. Also, I mean, there could be a case where with approvals, they could do more on a week or something,
Yeah,
correct?
so really what it is if you read our description, part-time, whether it's benefit, non-benefited, it's 52 consecutive weeks. So a lot of times what happens is there's some weeks where our part-time people need to work 40 hours
Yep.
because they're covering for an office, and then the following week they don't work any hours. So it's just if they were consistently working those hours, then we would have to reevaluate to see if we need to move them into that prorated category.
Okay. Any more board questions or comments? I see some people here that I didn't know if they wanted to weigh in, on the job description or, the comments.
My name is Shana Cochran, planning board. Thank you. No, obviously the job description, we've reviewed it prior for the town planner full-time position. I just wanted to, see what was happening because as we shared before that, we have a great need. My only other, suggestion to throw out is, if we're looking for a higher caliber than the current, salary, maybe we should try to find it somewhere in the budget, because if we can bring in somebody who's a high quality planner, then we should be reaping the benefits of the town as well with, grants and knowing how to do and where to go and getting these things done, more efficiently. And so
I always
just
appreciate,
suggest
yeah,
that-
I always appreciate, your context here because you're closer to it as well. And I think the idea here is, to see if we can get someone part-time that we couldn't get full-time. Obviously, we still have the job description out there for full-time, and we couldn't get it. And see if this opens up more candidates, and I hate to be in a position where we're like, well, maybe we'll evaluate if we don't get anyone for this either.
Right.
But the rate of pay, I don't think is big of an issue for the candidates we're trying to attract. And those candidates we're trying to attract are people that are maybe semi out of it a little bit, or working part-time somewhere else and want to do 2 jobs, or want to be able to maximize their golden years a little bit, as they're able to have only a certain amount that they can make every year.
Right. I mean, it does still, like, if I was looking for a part-time job and I looked at that job description, I'd be like, yeah, this isn't part-time. So I think it's still, like Lacey said, it's still the same rate of pay. It's just a smaller amount of hours. So
Yep.
I think we're going to start, if the problem is we're not getting the caliber of applicants, or, this doesn't work, I think we got to dig deep, find it in the budget. And,
I will
just
have that conversation. I will put that on the agenda if we find after 90 days that this is not, 90 days from when? Last week, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 90 days from posting, no, 60 days from posting, I think. I feel comfortable saying we should reevaluate it 60 days from posting. If we did it full-time and got no qualified bites or no ultra qualified bites, and then we do it again, then I agree that,
appreciate
it might be $1.
Okay.
It might be a dollar sign that we're chasing,
Agreed.
and I will put it on an agenda. Is there any other questions or comments about the description as written with the slight amendments on the changing of the levels to remove everything level 1 and make it 3 to 5 years, or up to 24 hours? Hearing none, I will take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the part-time town planner, job posting as
Written
amended.
with changes, yeah. All right. Can I get a second?
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any further conversation? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
And Dito, aye.
Carboni, aye. All right, let's get this posted and let's get somebody in.
All right, and then this last one, so you can go home, is discussion and possible vote to accept the $40,000 grant award from National Fitness Campaign and to confirm intent on providing remaining matching funding. This is really exciting. I'm a big fan of this project. Andrew, do you want to give a a synopsis of what we're looking for here when we have to, after accepting the 40,000, what that forces us to kind of do on our end?
Basically, it will allow us to go out and kind of try to get funding from other committees and possibilities. We're thinking probably CPC, maybe capital. We're trying to figure that out, but basically we have to commit to trying to finding what that is by July of 2026.
Okay. And have you had preliminary conversations with the parks on?
Very preliminary.
Okay, I just want to make sure they're
They expressed an
included.
interest, but we're actually gonna try to meet with them and see where they want to have it at Ted Williams.
Okay, I want to make sure they're included early
Yeah.
and you know,
Right.
so we can cut off anything that we need to, and have good conversations
Yep.
early and often.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Chair, is this a match, dollar for dollar?
No, so we have to come up with around 200,000, give or take.
So they're giving us the grant of 40,000 and we've got to come up with 200. Okay.
Yes, and we had the conversation that there might be other grants as well. that
There
we
is a
could-
park grant
There's a
that we're
park
looking to
grant,
put in.
yeah.
Yeah, and that
It's
would
like
be the first
400.
priority.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
There's like 5 or 6 different funding sources. We
Yeah.
haven't truly mapped it out yet.
yeah. So, from the audience?
If you don't mind. It just kind of dawned on me, because I know Middleborough had a local, company donate a playground. And it seems like a high dollar amount for this thing. Is this something that if there was like a local contractor, they could do it for less?
Yeah, so there's different components to this. There's the actual material, the materials that get delivered, but then there's the option of having local contractors do the site work and concrete work.
So they were projecting that just the concrete itself is like 40,000, just to put the footprint. If you can, or if the town can find somebody to, donate the work, then that's $40,000 that we're not paying. You do have to follow their footprint, but there's a parks grant that comes out and it is up to $400,000. So that's one that we're also looking at, so.
That's the one I'm counting on.
Yeah, that's the one that really is the one that we're counting on, but yes. All of the guarantee is that it's the footprint and it's built to the specifications.
I just figured I'd throw it out there, because I know Andrew was, in Middleborough, and they had somebody donate a whole field, I believe. So I didn't know if that's
Yeah, the Wood Street Field. Yeah, they donated that. They got very lucky, I will say, with who did that.
But this vote tonight, just allows Andrew to go forward. It doesn't require us to expend any money.
No, Lacey and I are gonna explore what that looks
We're
like.
just exploring, and by having this vote, we would actually be able to go for those grants to try to get them, but it needs to have something official that we're going for it, for those type of considerations.
All right. And with that, I'll make a motion to accept the grant award in the amount of $40,000 and direct the town administrator and the human resource director to pursue matching funding sources and provide an update back to the select board in a reasonable.
Can we get rid of matching funding sources and put
And to
remainder?
pursue funding?
Yeah, funding.
All right, directed to pursue funding sources, and provide update, to the select board in a reasonable amount of time. And when we say reasonable amount of time,
Tomorrow.
Throw a later on tonight.
Yep,
Throw a number out there.
Midnight.
What, 6
tonight.
months?
No, I would say December, the end of December.
Update for December?
Yep.
Okay. I have a motion.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Look,
Candido.
Carboni, aye.
Phew. All right. Now, we'll go back to everyone's favorite topic.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much. Discussion on quiet zones for MBTA train noise. At the previous select board meetings, we discussed, what strategy, oh wait, I'm on the wrong one, I'm reading. See, I'm like Ron Burgundy. If you put it in front of me, I'll just read it. South Coast Rail went officially live in March. The offices have received, and yours truly has received numerous complaints from noise, from the increased traffic of trains through the area. Historically has not been the case. There are 3 crossings in the community: North Precinct, Leonard, and Melbourne. The topic has been before the select board a handful of years ago, and the cost was the factor of not having a quiet zones. Also, we didn't have support from it from our local leaders in the House and the Senate. The first potential step in the process was to get quiet zones, is having a diagnostic performed by a multidisciplinary team, which will inform us of what type of safety engineering improvements are necessary to get quiet zones. The MBTA will perform this diagnostic at no cost to the town, and the report should be available and delivered by late September. It's important to note that the MBTA will not fund any identified improvements, and Lakeville will be on the hook for the improvements, to include installation, maintenance, and any associated liabilities. I was here when we had a conversation with the MBTA, and we had some further conversations after about the liability the town would incur for anything that they had deemed at the time called quiet crossings, and the increased amount of accidents that quiet crossings were having, and the liabilities that it put on the town. And the only one that I know who has successfully lobbied and had anything done by the MBTA was actually Hingham. And Hingham did pay for some of their improvements, but it was because they had 10 lawyers in Hingham that were doing all the work pro bono. So yeah, they were able to dedicate their extra time and personal resources in order to fight the MBTA on this. Andrew, I'd let you speak on the rest of it.
Okay, the only other update I got today is that I'm meeting with VHB, who is the diagnostic engineering company. I'm meeting with them tomorrow with the police chief and fire chief to kind of go over like the background of what this study will look like that we get in late September. Ultimately, they're going to give us a cost.
It was $2 to $3 million back in 2019.
Yeah, and I've seen other communities that can get up to 4 to 5 million. It's
Just throwing it out there for everyone to.
it can be a lot of money. One of my biggest concerns is the ongoing maintenance. We don't have anyone on staff that can do that, or even close to. Any liabilities. I've heard that because I think Abington is the main community that has a lot of trouble with their gates going down. I think there's been 29 collisions in the last like 10 years. So my understanding is we'd be on the hook if a gate doesn't go down and someone gets hit. So
That is my understanding, is the quiet crossing too, and any accidents that happen at that crossing,
Yep.
the town would be held personally liable for them.
Right. Another component is I'm working with my counterparts in Berkeley and Freetown to maybe kind of see what a joint cost of this venture would look like, whether it's the feasibility study that comes off of this. Because all the crossings are all within like, I think a half a mile maybe of each other, whether it's in, because we have 3 crossings, I think, within a half mile, then Berkeley has like Adelphord.
Yeah, and theirs just goes June,
Myrick's.
June, and it.
So anything that we do, it doesn't really matter because Berkeley doesn't do it. It's the same noise.
So, as someone that listens to that noise every night now, with their dogs, like, I had heard, and maybe falsely, that after the first 3 to 6 months, they were going to adjust the volume downwards, or the length of the time that they do their stuff. That was what was told to me. I don't know. And we have the Berkeley Board of Selectmen and the Treasurer Collector, accountant, and the accountant as well here. If you want to come up and speak a little bit to what you're experiencing over there and what you were told, that would be fine with me as well.
No, thank you. Sure. Jennifer Vincent, Board of Selectmen in Berkeley. Everything that's being said, we have the same information. I did hear, and again, I think it's just waiting for the diagnostics to be done, but I spoke, I think it's Newton. They have a number of crossings as well, but having conversations with different towns or cities who have had them there for a lot longer period of time. The cost is exponentially more because the tracks are old and they don't have the most up-to-date. So I'm under the impression that it's not going to cost as much as those areas because of the fact that we have new tracks. These are, I know our crossing, a lot of them is all new, right, in the last couple of years, because that's what they've been building. So I was told by the MBTA that they have done a lot of work to already get close to meeting a lot of the standards. So I'm really hopeful, and I'll be really disappointed if what I'm hearing is like it's going to cost in the millions, because you're right, I don't see that being feasible for a community like us, as well as the concerns with, there's a lot of residents who have concerns about the liability if something were to happen, right, and the safety wasn't going to come down. So I've done a lot of research on that too across the country. And what we are seeing, you know, if you look at the data, is that most of the accidents that are happening in these areas, even without quiet zones, are people going around the tracks, the railings, right? The railings are down. 98% of the accidents are happening, the horns blaring and everything else, and people are going around. So I think that's data points are important, not only the cost, but really what is the risk and liability as we start to talk to our communities about these issues. But love the idea of thinking about how we can do it together. Hopefully Freetown's not listening, but I think they have a lot more than us, so we'll have to think about all that. But we have 3 as well, and I think you all said that you have 3, and Malborn's like right next to us, so yeah.
Well, we appreciate anything we
Happy
can
to
do.
partner.
Anything we can do together, and,
Yes.
you know, it amplifies our small town voice a little bit higher.
Well, thanks for listening.
Berkeley's town administrator sent over, I think Needham did a feasibility study years ago.
Yes.
And part of what they got was the like implementation feasibility kind of study. So they hired someone to basically just tell them what it would cost, but also like, are there any grants federally, statewide that they can reduce the cost? Maybe it's a discussion in the future. Maybe Freetown, us and Berkeley can share in that cost, what that would be. I just don't know what that is at the moment.
Madam Chair, through you, Andrew, was that one of the things that we had discussed early on about the first track coming into the town and the last track going into the town, going out of the town? Was there some type of a hang up there with an exemption, or?
I heard that from the Freetown town administrator originally. She had said that it was her understanding that the first and the last crossing in a town are not qualified. So like we couldn't do a
So
quiet
only
zone
one
there.
would be qualified then, because if we have 3, one's in, one's out.
Well, yeah, we would have maybe one
Yeah.
that would qualify under that.
That was my understanding.
I don't
but
have anything in writing that says that, do you?
I have her notes from the meeting, but
Yeah, but those notes are worth the
no,
paper
but
they're
this-
printed on.
This
because of
diagnostic would tell
the
us.
MBTA.
Okay,
Yeah, the study would tell us for sure one way or
Yeah.
the other.
because the hang up we would have with Berkeley is that, you know,
Oh, yeah.
with their last one and our first one and our first one and
Yeah.
their last one are synonymous, so there's gonna be no quiet there,
Yeah.
which would be terrible for the residents in town.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever
know.
take a verbal anything from the
Yeah.
MBTA. It would
Yeah.
have to be,
Yeah,
you know,
I understand.
yeah, dreadful. Member of the audience,
Yeah, sure.
you have to come up to the mic and say your name, please, and thank you. We didn't know you'd be a superstar, right?
Yeah, thanks for adding this to the agenda, Kevin Kreiser. Yeah, so there's, for context on the quiet zones, there's actually 1,000 across the country, and there's 29 in Massachusetts. So it's just a frame of, it's not like some unattainable goal. There can be costs, but they're very common, and it can be actually pretty turnkey. Some of these can happen in months, not years. So it's actually, I think it's changed from maybe if this was done 10 or 20 years ago. I didn't know about the newer tracks, so thanks for sharing that. I know that Freetown got the same letter that we did. They have 10 streets listed on theirs that they're getting diagnostics done. And I think it's an opportunity where, I don't know how much the diagnostics would cost if we had to fund it, but I think that's probably something that wouldn't happen normally. So I think that's, there's momentum behind it. And it's an offset of any costs we would incur. So I would think most of these costs would be one time with a lower amount being the recurring amount for maintenance. But yeah, I think it would be a positive thing. And I think from a liability perspective, there's 1,000, call it, towns across the country to have looked at the liability and said, we're okay with it. I just would want to understand what makes our liability position different, I guess, especially in the context of what we were talking to earlier about, like, you know, town cars and things like that. I think where I've heard the same statistic too around most of the accidents are people kind of just trying to outrun the train. But that was all. I just think I'm really grateful that MBTA has offered up the diagnostics test, and you know, I just say anything we can do to pursue the quiet zones, I think would be greatly appreciated. So thanks.
Well, let's get an update on that for the beginning of October. If they're saying the diagnostics will be done by the end of September, so let's get an update and share it with the board, and we can share it with the public, because I know lots of people are interested in hearing about it.
My understanding is we'll get a cost estimate by that time, at that point, so
Okay.
we'll know for sure one way or the other.
And that cost estimate will include the engineering?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yep.
So the cost estimate will be due to the project. The cost estimate won't touch any of the ongoing maintenance that would be required.
I assume it probably would tell us, but I don't know
Okay.
for certain. The meeting tomorrow with them, I'll have to ask that.
All right. Thank you very much. We are on to item number 8, the Affordable Housing Trust. Back in 2005, Lakeville adopted the Affordable Housing Trust bylaw. Funds, and how many funds have been deposited? The 122,000 has been deposited into the trust account, but without a board of trustees, there is no mechanism to utilize these funds. The management analyst, Emily, will give an overview of the powers of the Board of Trustees, eligible users, and funding sources. The goal of this discussion is to reintroduce Affordable Housing Trust to the Select Board and act as a starting point for any future action the Select Board takes. I turn this over to Mike.
Thank you. So in all of your packets, there's just a 3-page brief overview on affordable housing trust funds. So as the chair just mentioned, the Affordable Housing Trust bylaw was adopted by the town in 2005. Since that time, people may have been appointed as trust, but as far as I was able to find, they never met. So currently, the total available fund balance is $122,541, and most of that has come from affordable housing units that were basically removed as affordable housing and sold above their maximum sale price, and the town gets the difference, which goes into the affordable housing.
And they're getting
trust.
this from, is this from the Middleborough? Like, who's depositing these funds? How does that flow happen?
So,
Or is
okay,
it Plymouth County?
no, so it's the person who's selling the property.
But how do they, I understand the premise, so I just clarifying question. So the person's selling the property for over their threshold. Does Plymouth County take the amount over the threshold, or are we relying on the property owner?
The town has the trust fund established, just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. So, I forget the full name of the acronym, but it's CHAPA. I've seen in previous minutes where they're the ones who are kind of facilitating both the sale of the property and the turning over of the excess funds to the town.
CHAPA's changed to something else now, right? Is it still CHAPA?
I thought CHAPA was still CHAPA.
Oh,
Yeah.
it might be something else. Okay, so CHAPA is determining those additional funds.
Yes, and the ones I could find were from the Edgewood neighborhood, so I don't know if that would maybe change depending on where it is, but I know at least for these 3 units, where this current fund balance has come from, they've been in Edgewood. I forget the exact street addresses. Does that answer the question?
It does.
Okay, perfect. So for the Board of Trustees, so the bylaw establishes a 5-member board. The statutory makeup is 1 select board member, 1 Board of Appeals member, 1 planning board member, and 2 members at large, appointed by the selectmen to serve 1-year terms. In the handout I give you guys, it has a summary of what the powers are, so I'll just read through them. They can accept and receive real property, personal property, or money by gift, grant, or contribution, including money, grants, and CPA funds. They can purchase or retain real and personal property. They can sell, lease, convey, etc. Any personal mix of real property at public auction or by private contract. They can execute deeds. They can employ advisors and agents like accountants, appraisers, and lawyers. Borrow money, manage or improve the property in their possession, or abandon any properties the trust deem appropriate. So using those powers, the statute is pretty broad as far as what the powers of the, or I guess the eligible initiatives the board can undertake are. So it says, quote, to provide for the creation and preservation of affordable housing in the town for the benefit of low and moderate income households. And that's from the 2005 bylaw adopted by the town. And then further at the state level in 2016, it was amended to include funding of community housing as defined in and in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 44B, which allow trusts to engage in all allowable community housing initiatives under the CPA with all funding sources. So on the second page of that handout, there are a lot of examples of different types of initiatives that could be undertaken by the trust, and that's why I say it's a very broad kind of definition, and it's very much what best suits the needs of the town within, you know, create, preserve, and support. So just overview, there's the creation using new construction, creation via the conversion of market rate housing into affordable units, preservation of affordable units, and supporting, you know, the creation of affordable units. Any work undertaken by the committee, this is all subject to state procurement law as well. I just want to note that. So, while the funds are in a trust, they're not something that will be appropriated by town meeting necessarily. It's still technically town funds, and we would still have to, you know, if we were to hire a contractor using the trust fund, you still have to, you know, put it out to bid. For funding sources, there are a lot of different options. So the most common source of funding for affordable housing trusts there at the state are community preservation funds. So because they have that 10% minimum that they have to reserve for affordable housing, or 10% of annual revenue to be reserved for affordable housing. A lot of trusts in different towns do use the CPA funds for that. There's also different bylaws that can be adopted, or fees adopted, like negotiated fees through developers that can go into the fund. But that, I think, would have probably more steps if they're not something that's already on the town bylaw schedule. So I already mentioned that the current revenue accrued was from the sale of formerly affordable units. And then once funds are in the trust, they're technically trust property. So the board of trustees would be the sole body that appropriates the funds. So it's not kind of like CPA where you have the community preservation committee and they accept grants, and then town meeting has to decide what ultimately the appropriation is for CPA funds. For the Affordable Housing Trust, it's just the board of trustees that would distribute them once they're in the trust.
That is some broad powers.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Now, question for you for the Affordable Housing Trust's powers of the Board of Trustees. Are those all statutory, or are those just what we voted in the bylaw?
They are what is in the bylaw, and also it looks like the bylaw was just modeled off of the state's like provisions, but I did see that they can be like adjusted. So some communities may have tightened them, like, you know, maybe required town meeting appropriations, something like that. But the current ones are just based on the state statute, which is pretty broad.
I have so many questions, but I do want to continue to dig a little deeper on this. Now that 122,000 seems so light to me, if that indeed is the difference between the market rate and the affordable rate over 20 years. For how many units were sold in that time or resold? It just seems very low if that is the full amount
Yeah.
for 20 years.
I don't think we have a list of
Yeah.
what's been really sold in that
So
time.
that's my question. If indeed all of our funds were supposed to go here and they're here, this does not feel like a full accounting of what those funds would look like. And that was what my question was, and how can we follow that backwards to figure out if we got everything that we were supposed to get of those funds? Because this feels light. No scientific evidence here, just a gut feeling for that number. Members of the board, any questions or comments?
Madam Chair, so I'll ask I think an obvious question. It seems, number one, do we want to be in the business of constructing housing units? I mean, there's a whole broad list of what you can do with it. It seems like an awful lot of work for very little gain. And the affordable housing market or requirements, we all know from the state, were a lot different back in 2005 than what we are today. We know we're facing, as part of our 40B projects, a lot of pressure. I think the developers don't really need any additional incentives for us for affordable housing when they're coming with the 40B projects, and we have multiple projects pending, as we all know, within our community. I just don't really see the need for this or the value. Seems like, again, an awful lot of work for very little gain, and maybe you get squeezed in 2 or 3 housing units out of it, and it's won't have a lot of money over that time frame. So I just don't see the value.
Any other members first? I'll grab you after. I just want to make sure all the members have a chance to address it.
I think Chris and I are on similar pages on this.
Well, if it's 122,000, I am too. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what that's gonna, that you've got one small project halfway completed. Like, I don't know what that's gonna do, and that's a concern of, are these funds really being put in the right place if this is what those funds represent? And then, Member Carboni, did you have anything before I take the audience?
Just the fact that, it's appointed positions for, for a year. Like, where's the momentum? If there's a project that
Turnover.
really, something that's gonna benefit, the project that's just, but I like the fact that, it's a trust, and whoever's on this obviously, has the guidelines here, but the execution.
It's a lot. It's a lot to it. I will ask members of the audience to come up. I saw a big hand go up.
It's Michelle McEachern, CPC. So on this Thursday, we have Shelley Goring, the Senior Program Manager for Community Assistance from Massachusetts Housing Partnership. She's coming virtually, likely, Thursday, to speak with CPC, and just go over some information, some questions, because we have that housing bucket now with CPA. So we have all this money not all this money, but the 10% that goes yearly into this bucket. The thing is, Chris, Mr. Ponca, through your chair, we have 100 units of 40B housing that'll expire in 10 years.
2036, I believe.
The apartments.
So 100 units. So what CPA has discussed is how do we retain those and, possibly use CPA funding to retain those units rather than see those fall off, because that's a lot of units. When we know right now we're currently in compliance with 40B, we're at safe harbor right now, so we don't want to lose any units. Obviously, there's projects pending to certain milestones, etc. But we don't want to see those units fall off, and then be so much farther from that 10% compliance with 40B. So CPA this is the focus, is to, when in talking to residents, getting CPA pass, people don't want to see more affordable housing built. What they want to see is the units that we have maintained so that we don't get pushed further and further back from the compliance with 40B, so that the developers can't just keep coming in because we're not in compliance with that 10% threshold.
And we
So-
ask for in perpetuity now, correct?
We do. And that's ZBA though, but, that's a lot of units, and this was just something that came up in talking to Shelley. I think I spoke with you about it, I spoke with Andrew about it, and this is an option. This housing trust is an option to try to get, because it takes a lot of collaboration. It should be the town planner, it should be other consultants working to try to figure out.
So
I don't know what the details are in getting those to maintain in perpetuity, but if we have 10 years, now is the time to start thinking, because it's a lengthy process, and because we want to build up that money too and see it go for that certain purpose, because I think residents, and speaking with them about
So you're
CPA,
proposing to use the funds for what, for consultants?
So my proposal is just that if this committee were to form, that the focus should be on maintaining those housing units and how to get from where we
So-
are now to retaining them rather than seeing them fall off in 10 years.
So
does
if
that
this is
include?
formed, we have no say over what they do with the money.
Right.
This is not this is not an advisory.
But if they want to use CPA funds, they have to say what the purpose is. So this would be a committee that could propose to use CPA
I
funding.
get where you're going now.
To use towards maintaining these units. And I know that, like I said, from speaking with residents, that is.
Clarify how you use funds to maintain, are you talking about
So it's
incentives to developers, or I don't understand?
So it's a lengthy process. I'm not familiar with it. I'm not trying to pretend to be, because, I reached out to the coalition. He said, Shelley is one of the people that he suggested. She's coming, like I said, informational. Please join, watch, whatever, on Thursday, because that's our moment to ask all those questions and find out what the process is, what she recommends. But this was one of the first recommendations is, when we said, we don't have a housing authority here. So how do what do you recommend? And she said, she's like, oh, you have a housing trust in your bylaws. So maybe that's the first step.
Yeah, that's the question. How would you propose to use the funds? For administrative costs, consultant fees?
I'm not proposing to use the funds in any way. I'm just saying that the committee or the housing trust could be utilized to get, for that purpose, for maintaining the units rather than seeing them fall off, and utilize CPA funding to do so.
Yeah, again, I'm still confused at what maintaining means. I mean, are we gonna take over and manage these units? I don't understand.
So I
don't know
think,
what that
I
means.
assume it's some sort of a payment to, rather than seeing them fall off, you have to maybe buy the units and then, I don't know, I'm not sure. Like I said,
Well,
Thursday, we're gonna hopefully have all those questions answered, so.
Right.
Would you
Okay.
mind sending a memo to the Board of Selectmen after your meeting, just kind of giving a little synopsis?
I guess.
Yeah, and then we can keep it for the record for
I
any
was planning to,
conversations.
Are you gonna-
actually gonna attend on Thursday.
Okay, and I think Kathy Meyer, the planning board
Yeah.
clerk, is gonna
Perfect.
come too.
Perfect,
because-
that would be helpful,
So-
so we can put it as part of the record.
Right.
It's something I hadn't heard about until you brought it up. It's a new one on me that we had an affordable housing trust in town, so.
I knew it was on the books, and I think that we
I didn't know
took
it was
it out of
funded.
did we take it out of the CPC charge? Or it was a discussion that was coming up to take it out, but we couldn't because it was,
We put a person at large, didn't we, or someone from?
Oh, the housing.
Yes,
Yeah, so,
yes.
yep, it was, we do have a, interested person in
Yeah,
housing.
interested in
for-
housing. It was
Yeah.
a weird
right,
terminology.
because we
but
had to adjust
Yeah.
because of the language that we had already in the,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, because I think it said housing authority and we don't have one, so we
Right.
changed that to the. Yeah. But so I think maybe this is a conversation to maybe revisit after.
I
hearing
agree,
from
because
Shelley.
we'll probably get a lot more information after, that next meeting. But this is very helpful to bring this forward, because I had never even known that we had funds in here.
And it
Like-
would be great to be able to utilize them and even the CPA funding too, so.
Thank you, thank you. All right, did you have anything else to add? If not, I'm gonna push this over to the next pile and we will move on.
Thank you, Ramon.
All right, I had the opportunity last week to go to the senior center and spend some time with some of our seniors. And invariably, they came up with some really great things that that started my mind going. And one of them was around trash. So if you've been in the town of Lakeville for the last, since before 5 years ago, you've seen kind of what a mess the trash has been. It's been a various situation of lots of small dumpsters near narrow roads in some cases, lots of different trash pickups in town, whereas it used to be like one primary and one secondary. There's been a lot of movement on trash. And if you're monitoring your bills like I am, it's more than doubled in the last 5 years. So after speaking to this resident at length, I reached out to a couple people. One of the people was the building inspector, because there's a bylaw about where the dumpsters can be and how far they can be from the road. And then we just got to talking about, well, what if we did trash in town? What would that look like? What if we had a vendor work for us? And then the DPW director had a conversation too, and that's where we are right now. So after having a conversation with Andrew reached out and saw what some other towns are doing as far as farming out some of those services and getting a little bit more information on one of the few things that the government might be able to do better than private industry has been doing for the people of Lakeville. So Andrew's gonna talk a little bit about what he found. But the idea here would be for us to do some extensive reach out to the people of Lakeville to see, what they're paying for trash, what their expectations are for trash, and, where some of their frustrations are from trash. Because this could be an example of us leveraging the community as opposed to individuals in order to get better service and better prices. So that's where it came from. Andrew, I'll let you.
So I got word of this late in the week. Luckily, I have a good rapport where I live, Swansea, with the town administrator there. So she sent me an RFP.
Mallory, right?
Mallory Aaronstein. And she sent me what they did for an RFP. She said it's over the top, and it's because they had a bad experience with waste management years ago.
This is the size of the RFP, by the way, if you've read it.
Big.
Very detailed.
Yeah, and so they have a lot of insurance requirements. I think there was a lot of bad stuff that maybe happened with the previous contract, so they really tightened it up.
Thank them.
So they have a bylaw in town that basically says that every resident needs to have a trash pickup, whether it's through this or whether it's a private pickup. They have to basically show the town that they have that. If not, there's fines and all sorts of stuff.
Is the assumption that if they don't have trash pickup, they're throwing it in their backyards or?
Potentially. So it would potentially clean up trashy situations, I guess, in different communities and different people's yards.
Okay.
So this might be an incentive to not throw the trash in the backyard. So like I said, it's very detailed. I also attached a rate schedule of what, this is actually what I pay. It's $373 per fiscal year, which I've heard is pretty good.
Yeah, I think I pay around $500
$500
plus a year right now for my service.
And then they have all sorts of like 1 day where you can put out different items like.
That's the stuff right there. That's the one that's going to be the sweetener for the people of Lakeville. Because if you know some of the things you want to put out, it's $125 to put something at the curb.
Exactly. I just thinking we're closer to Bourne, which is probably where they would probably send this trash than Swansea is. We might get a better deal out of it all. There's a lot of potential implications of this, whether we have to change the operation at the transfer station, whether we do a bylaw, what the rates are, who we go out to do procurement wise. There's a lot of variables, obviously, and then the number one is obviously if residents want to see this happen or not.
And that's the first one that I think we should attack. I think
Right.
you've given us some good data here that we can, look at as individual board members and, come up with some better questions. But the bigger question that I wanted to ask is, are the people of Lakeville interested in this? Is this just a small segment of us that are interested in it? Or does it have much broader appeal to, a lot more people? Whether it be because we could get a better price, whether it be, better service, or just knowing that, they know right where to go to bring their complaints.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. Luckily, our finance director, Mike Ellis, he ran a $21 million enterprise system in Bourne with the trash. So he has pretty intimate knowledge of if we were to do this, how it would mechanically work in the back end.
Okay.
So I think a working group of him, myself, Emily, and probably Frank.
Yes.
And maybe a select board member, just to see what this would look like if we want to do a survey first to get kind of feedback from the residents. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah, I think that would be the first step that I would say is just put out a nice comprehensive survey to the residents of Lakeville with some key questions about their service and if they would like to see it change, if they would like to, see town run, not really town run, but town, however we put it, where the town would enter in the contract and they would pay their dues directly. So I want to open it up to the board for comments and questions on anything, but this is just a starter conversation to see if this is something that has value for the people of Lakeville.
Madam Chair, I'm a dump guy, right? But this is, the price that Andrew was paying is very good on the scale of things.
Yeah.
The fee structure has always scared me, but personally, my household right now is $300 a year plus incidental disposal stuff, as you say, the additional fees and things like that, and I paid some of those today. But this is definitely something that appears to be doable and is not cost prohibitive for the residents.
Yeah, and you brought a point up about compelling people maybe to do something that I don't know how I feel about as far as compelling people to do stuff, but it could be a really good deterrent for people that are struggling. Like a lot of people don't want to have the service and they went to the dump before, but now they're not going to the dump.
Yeah.
And it's easier to put it out on their 1.61 acres somewhere.
And the dumpster issue is just that.
Yeah.
It is an issue. Vermin gets trucked in from other communities that, and we have things introduced that weren't introduced prior to in areas,
And wildlife getting hit on their way
Yep.
to get to the extra
Yep.
goodies that have been sitting there for 2 weeks waiting for pickup.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think it's a problem that we might be able to help. And that's what I'm
Yeah,
looking for.
absolutely.
Member Plonka.
I agree, it's worth looking into. I mean, whether that residents are interested, it's gonna come down to cost. If they can, we all know what the rates are. I'm a transfer station like
Got
Emma
it.
is, so.
Got it.
But again, if they can offer a rate that's, I think they're all, you have, so they're all pretty close from what I see on Facebook,
I think so, yeah.
right?
If I judge just by Facebook.
Yeah,
But yes,
right.
there's a
They're
lot.
all about the same.
Everything moves up,
Right.
steady.
Right, so as long as you can offer a rate that's less than that, then I'm sure the residents would be.
Yeah. Member Carboni?
Well,
I know you
You're-
do your
you're-
socializing at the dump.
I've
seen you there. Shaking
I do go to the
hands.
transfer station, it is part of my Saturday morning ritual. As long as the option is out there, people are gonna ask the WIFM, what's in it for me and, the benefit for me. And, people don't like change. But as long as it's not a mandatory thing and is an option, let's hear what they have to, how they support it, but.
Andrew, can you have a survey ready to go in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah.
20 questions, 10 questions, maybe people will actually answer.
Yeah, I can definitely put something together.
And then anyone at home, come chime in, give your comments, make sure your voice is heard. A lot of people that have negative things to say, or they'll come right out and say it, but someone with a positive thing, maybe they don't. So I'm hoping we can fish where the fish are a little bit and send it out, put it on our website, send it out in our newsletter, put it on our Facebook page, put it in the COA and the, what's the letter? The newsletter as well. So use what we've got for free sources to get the word out.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you everyone for entertaining my trash fantasies. All right. Item number 10, town council procurement. At the request of one of our members, to keep us on the up and coming and making sure we're doing our due diligence on town council services. Andrew has given us an RFP from Upton, for a recent, town council services solicitation for municipalities. Did anyone get a chance to read? This is just a lot. So I didn't know if anyone got a chance to read it over or if we'd like another reading, of this, because there's just, I started reading it and then I stopped reading it. There's just a lot in the RFP. It does look very similar to the needs that we would have here. And if I missed something, I probably missed a lot of some things. So Andrew, do you want to give me a synopsis here?
I can let Emily add anything that I may miss, but procurement's a game of copycat essentially, and pretty much I think we found most towns and cities when they go out for these services, it looks almost identical to this. So this, I assume, has been tried and true and perfected over years.
Yeah, I think I saw the same one on the MMA website, to tell you the truth.
So it's very comprehensive. It wouldn't take a whole lot of work to turn this around and make it Lakeville. So we wanted to get your kind of take on it before we did all this work and brought it to you guys. So essentially this would look pretty much to form if we were to put this out. Do I have anything, Emily?
No, that pretty much covers it. I think the main two things, just I know it's a lot to look at, but just for the scope of work portion of it, it's the main requirements are area of expertise for the attorneys and then attendance requirements. So attending town meeting, attending board meetings. Yep. So if you had any other requirements, I guess, beyond that, we could add them or adjustments.
How long have we had KP Law? We used to have KP Law that was Copeland and Page back in the day, and then they went to KP Law, but we've had them for a very long time. And these type of things, when you've created those relationships, it gets scary because they know all of the history and they have all the history. But it is important to have good hygiene on these things and be going out to bid at least, I don't know, every 20 years.
But I want to say that we did, must have been about maybe 9 years ago.
I can't remember it if we did.
I think there was
I thought there was someone on staff that did it. I forget the name.
Did what?
Did all the services. Kind of like Middleborough used to have Dan Murray for many years, and then they switched over to KP Law. I thought Lakeville had someone.
They had a
single
attorney.
person for everybody.
Not that I'm aware of.
Really? So people had told me. But
I wasn't here for it.
I think that we've used
But it wouldn't
legal
be 9 years
services
ago.
for.
Yeah, it would. It's been at least 15 years that you've had Copeland and Page and then KP Law. Yeah.
Well, Tom Madigan used to sit up on the
that's the name.
panel.
That's the
No,
name,
but
yeah.
that's for negotiations.
No,
He didn't do everything.
it's town meeting. He sat on the panel at town meeting.
Well, that was, how long you been in town?
58 years
There you go.
on Thursday.
Okay.
Oh, birthday
Wow.
boy. Happy birthday. Yeah, but it is something that needs to be done frequently, just for competitiveness and, for thoroughness. This, to me, all of the, on page 6, I didn't see anything missing from there. But I'd love everyone to have a chance to look at it a little bit more, and give some notes, because this is just a lot of material to go through. And then,
I was just gonna say, Madam Chair, this agenda was a lot of reading.
yeah, well,
It's okay.
I know you like to,
I like the criminal.
you like to crib notice
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But I'd like to continue this to our next meeting, vote on it for the next meeting, and then most likely go to RFP. But I just want to make sure everyone has everything that they need to feel good about kind of a big possible change in the way that we do business. All right. Item number 11. This was brought to me by a member of the community who's sitting out there tonight, about a bylaw for dilapidated and abandoned, and we're just focusing on commercial industrial buildings. Anyone that's driven through Lakeville knows Main Street in Lakeville has some really unattractive abandoned properties that are making it difficult to maintain that nice small town feeling, that we're all looking for. Currently, multiple properties that can be classified as blighted. This is especially the case on Main Street. Blight can lead to a multitude of issues, including inhibitor for economic development in surrounding areas, trespassing issues, and a bad representation of the community. There's one thing that wasn't mentioned on here. It can be a real safety problem for our firefighters as well. These buildings, especially these buildings that are older and packed with combustibles of some sort, or old furniture or things like that, could be a real dangerous spot for our firefighters to get into if they were to go in for a fire. Also mold and asbestos and all of those things that come along with old buildings. So hazardous to both breathing and to actual physical harm. So this is just a litmus test to see if the board has an appetite to pursue the blight bylaw. Again, the original blight bylaw had a component where it was residential. I'm not bringing residential forward at this time. I'm just bringing commercial and business. Residential is a quagmire, and I'm not interested in doing that. But I am interested in presenting the town in the way the townspeople would like to present the town, and finding ways that bring small businesses to the town and not drive them away. I will open it up to the board for comments, questions.
If I can, Madam Chair, so we had our Economic Development Committee meeting last week, and I was planning on providing an update when I get to the subcommittee, so I'm happy to do it now. We had our sister community, Taunton's Economic Development Director, Jay Patikas, come in to speak to us, and he had mentioned that they have it's not a bylaw because it's by council, but they have a law in the books for, blighted property. And so Andrew and I had talked about it after that meeting, so I was kind of surprised when this came up on the draft agenda, that it's definitely something that, we could look into. Dan, you were there as well. And I think that the committee was interested in possibly exploring what that would look like. And obviously staying away from the residential for sensitivity reasons, but focusing on the commercial piece of it. And we did talk about, the safety and so forth. So I can tell you that your Economic Development Committee, probably vote to recommend this.
All right, excellent. Member Plonka?
I think it's a worthy
Okay,
topic,
good.
definitely.
And Member Hunt?
probably ought to disclose that I am a property owner that abuts one of the blighted properties
okay.
currently
Well,
on Main Street. Maybe not the one you think, but one that certainly falls under this definition.
got it.
And for commercial and industrial purposes, I am in favor of moving forward on this.
Fantastic. Would we like to take a vote at this time? Does the board have confidence to move a vote? Or do we just want, a more Lakevillian crafted version of this to come forward before we vote, which is, I think, where we wanna go?
Yeah, with town meeting coming up, I don't know if we can get it ready for the fall, but definitely maybe this spring.
Let's shoot for it. Yeah,
Madam Chair, I note that we have several people listed here that are the enforcement officers.
it's just gonna be me, Paul. I'm
for
gonna go
blighted-
around.
And then we are in deep trouble. Have we had a weigh-in from the building commissioner, the police chief? The fire chief is present, so he certainly could weigh in on this if he so chose tonight. But have we done something? Have we talked to these enforcement agents or the people that are going to designate their person and
So-
have them weigh in?
In my estimation, and everyone can correct me if I'm wrong, when we were talking enforcement, it was civil enforcement, and not criminal, enforcement, and, we had talked, this is 4 years ago, I thought we had someone that was doing the civil enforcement and putting out tickets. I believe it was Tony Emerald was doing it for properties with vehicles. Am I,
Yeah,
is that,
Yeah, and that was one of my jobs in the past as well, and that, the town had no teeth
Yep.
in that. We would write tickets and we would go down to district court, and the people wouldn't show, and the clerk would go, okay, dismissed, and that was it.
so would the civic fine be a lien then?
Yeah, so we do have the ability, when we do the fines, it can go on. If they don't pay it, at the end of the year, we'll go on their real estate bill as a lien.
Yeah. For your, to the point where it has no teeth.
Yeah, I know that Wareham is currently using somebody from the building department or the Board of Health to actually go out and do site visits and write tickets
Yeah.
each day.
And I think that's a great point that you bring up, because I wouldn't want anyone in a position where they would feel uncomfortable, in a potentially volatile situation, without having training and
Yeah,
ability.
you have the potential to throw one more thing on the fire chief's plate or his
He loves
designee's
it.
plate and things like that, so we have to be,
Yep,
the enforcement of this can take its toll on somebody, especially if there's meetings and face-to-face and daily fines
I
that
think
are,
that's a great point, and
so we have to proceed
Mhm,
cautiously
yep.
with that.
and some suggestions in that area after consulting, with the team
Mm-hmm.
would be great.
Yeah, it would be a tremendous amount of work. Someone has to go down to Wareham every day. There's a fine. So, with a couple of these properties, you guys are probably thinking the same ones I'm thinking of. They're probably gonna get fined every day, and basically we're having a staff member designated to just do fines on those properties.
And that, I mean, we would have to use that fine for paying that staff member then. It would have to be in like
Yeah,
a revolving account
if they ever
almost.
get paid,
Yeah.
that's the more my worry with this bylaw is.
But if it ends up going on the tax bill at the end of the year, then we're not worried about getting paid. It becomes part of the,
Yeah, but they might just not choose to pay it. Like, I'm just thinking Lakeville Hospital, like, would we ever, like, rack up the fines to the point where we try to take it ourselves? Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't like to say, but I do think there needs to be a mechanism in order to show that you just can't leave a mess and expect the people of Lakeville to look at it all the time.
But,
Yeah. So if you wanna flesh that out a little bit and give us some suggestions on some of the language
Mhm.
for those things that you've asked, so we can vote on a few of the options, that would be great. And then I'll just look briefly into it myself on, the fines for blighted properties and how they're collecting from them.
Yep.
But I know, is it West Bridgewater when they had something like this? They went right to the insurance companies, and gave them copies of the fines as well. So the blighted properties lost their insurance on them, and then that was a motivator.
Madam Chair, one of the difficult things for me, Michael Ryan, Fire Chief. One of the difficult things for me is I've been tempted to do just what you said, is when I have a problem property, is to provide notification to the insurance companies. It's really problematic finding out. I've reached out and tried to back connect and try and find out, because it's a big piece of leverage, their insurance. And what's end up happening is that I keep letters on file that, like, to whom it may concern, just in case something happens there. I make the property owner, not the homeowner, the property owner aware that this letter exists, and in the event of a loss, it's going to be provided to your insurance company that you failed to comply with the rules and regulations of the fire code up to that point. So it just sits there because I'm unable to get that information. So it's really
Isn't
tough.
that at Plymouth County Registry of Deeds?
I don't think your insurance company is listed anywhere
I don't have it,
on
no.
that
Yeah,
stuff.
I've
You
kinda looked.
can jump ship 10 times a year.
Mm.
And Mass General Law really spells out what I can write a ticket for, but the benefit to me is, I like this program. I like where, if it's gonna make our firefighter safety in our town a little more attractive, I'm behind 110%. But where I can see I'm playing a part in is like a supporting role, like whoever the enforcement officer is, if they wanna bring me in, if they see potential fire code violations, that's where I can jump in and write those citations. But the only potential conflict there is that Chief Perkins is the hearings officer for my ticket. So if somebody wants to appeal my ticket, he's the one that hears that case and decides whether my ticket's valid or not. So if he's involved in like any kind of like enforcement of a town ordinance, writing citations, there might be a conflict there that he'd have to.
We'll have to map that out and see what that
There's
looks
some
like.
complications there. That's all I had to add.
Actually, while I've got you here and it's on topic, I was in Bridgewater last weekend and I saw some of the beautiful old houses just going down to sagging, and they had the X's all over the doors.
Yeah, marking the.
Yeah, so is that something that you have considered doing to some of the blighted properties on Main Street?
That's something I would like to do, but it's private property, and for me to go in and it's something that has to be backed up with the local regulation.
And something like this would
If you
help
added
you?
that would help me.
That would be my question.
And at 3:00 in the morning, when I have a young fire officer on duty, they see that X, that'll be the prompt not to go inside.
Yes, and that's my goal, it is one of my goals, is to make sure that we're not putting our people in harm's way over, moldy old
Vacant
stuff.
property, yep,
Mhm.
perfect. So,
Thank you for the context.
thank you.
All right, thank you for the call out, Member Hunt, on the enforcement, and I think we can craft this a little bit better. But obviously you need some input from your chiefs and your building inspector as well on where it would go, but that seems to have enough support to try to move it forward.
Okay.
Yep. Item number 12, discussion and possible vote on consultant services for the study of fire department operations. Back a few weeks ago, we had a conversation with the chief, and we were talking about what we could do in order to help him with some of the challenges, based on what's going on in the greater marketplace and in our own hometown. So let's see, handful of years we did have a consultant who performed an operational audit of the fire department, and it's good to do them from time to time. I don't know how many handfuls of years that was because I can't remember it. So when was the last time we had?
Well, it was when Chief O'Brien was here, correct, Chief?
Define, do I come forward?
Yes,
Yeah.
please, and identify yourself.
Chief O'Brien, Lakeville Fire Department. We've had, define operational audit, because there's different types of outside audits. There's addressing a perceived problem or complaint type of an audit, or there's operational audits that I've been involved in previously in other departments, where they do an assessment, a soup to nuts assessment of the fire department and make recommendations of changes, policies, things you're doing.
And that was my expectation, was that soup to nuts.
Yeah, that is, that's something that I would definitely throw my support behind, because it's a productive exercise.
Yep, and it would give you and us some points to ponder on structure or on, on how we're going to business every day.
So my angle on this is, like, I've been a pain in the butt for the last 7 years asking for a bunch of stuff, and then people get tired of hearing my voice. So sometimes having an independent voice come in and not only maybe confirm some of the things I'm asking for or trying to accomplish, but also maybe like, Chief, you're not doing this properly, you should do it differently. There's value in that. There's value in the things that I haven't thought of yet. So in my experience is the last one I went through was extremely productive. I was a deputy chief, or I was actually a training captain at the time. Our chief was very paranoid about the whole thing, and he just couldn't say enough good things about the process afterwards. These outside fire chiefs that came in and did the assessment of our operation became like, career-long contacts for us, sounding boards for different questions and stuff. And the department benefited greatly from the process.
Perspective is, outside perspective is really good, sometimes when you're really close to a situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I came in from the outside, a fresh set of eyes, I saw a bunch of things that I would have done differently. And, the previous chief is a good guy and cared a lot about the town. But sometimes when you've been around for 20 years, you kind of lose that outside.
I had someone that I view as a mentor, and I think you had him too, Rocco Longo, and he gave me the advice. He said, after 10 years, you're the problem. And he said, you're not seeing it the way it is anymore. You're seeing it the way you wanted it to be when you started it. So it's always really good to get these type of situations, and I think we're at a really good inflection point for it.
The department as a whole is staffed by decent people, good people with good intentions. And so when you have those type of people working for you, there's no reason not to pull the curtain back. And the operation may not be perfect. It may not be, as efficient as it could be. So it's a bit of a discovery for everyone. And usually it's kind of they're not out to harm or tear something down. They're looking to make it better. So it's always been a good experience in my view.
Perfect. Oh, I appreciate your support. So I guess the question would be to the board, would there be a motion to move the select board directs the town administrator and HR director to research the issue and report back their findings?
I guess the motion is more of, are we directing the town administrator and HR to put together what the cost would be, who the RFP that would have to go out,
What the scope is?
the scope, all of that. Okay, so it's not them conducting, it's more of
Them conducting the pre-analysis
Okay.
and the scoping exercise before an RFP goes out.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead, please.
In my experience, the more holistic the study is, the more expensive it can be. But the more focused the studies are, the less effective they are, the less improvement bang for the buck you get.
And the goal here is not to just be, I check that box, but to have some action items for everyone to look at and some real helpful criticisms.
That's my agenda, is to move the department forward, make it better than when I found it.
Chief, are there companies that focus on communities like our size instead of the blanket national average, which, says we need X number of firefighters, what do we need in Lakeville more?
So the company I work with, they were out of New Hampshire. It was important to get fire chiefs that are out of your network, because then it becomes the old buddy system. They take care of you. These guys bring in the fresh perspective. They kind of balance, they went into a lot about resources of our town, what we could afford to do. And they gave you a range of corrective actions, and cost was a factor. So it wasn't like you have to do this.
It's like a la carte menu
Yeah.
almost.
Yep. This is your range of choices on addressing the staffing issue. This is your range of choices addressing your training issues. And this is what it's going to cost, and you decide what you want to invest to make this happen. Because everything is cost, there's cost factors involved in all of this. So, and that there's a specific
And he gave us
company.
a list, and the chief was nice enough to provide a list of, didn't you provide a list like 2-3 weeks ago after that meeting?
Of the companies that have done it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You forgot already?
Lots happens.
Yeah, so we do have at least a starter list and just to research a little bit as well. Yep.
Yeah, and I can actually, to help out the process, I can reach out to the fire chief network and see who's been through this process lately and what vendors they used.
Perfect. Great.
Madam Chair, question for Chief O'Brien. To Andrew's point, is it more valuable to wait until the new station comes online, or?
There's gonna be things that need to be addressed, with, as far as the new station stuff, maybe I haven't even thought of. So there's two ideas here, like you do the homework now and delay it till the station comes online, or you basically find people who are experienced in dealing with new fire stations and the transitions over to a new fire station, and maybe they coach us on what we should anticipate. There's kind of two.
So you're thinking that should be part of whatever study that we do as senior fire
to
station.
keep this, to disconnect the new fire station wouldn't be a good thing to do. Hopefully that we can involve them in maybe the fire station building committee and kind of give them a scope of what we're planning and what's going to come about, and they can anticipate what kind of policies are needed. Like, this will be the first time we'll have cameras inside of a fire station for security reasons, but it's also for monitoring for damaged equipment, who scratched that fire truck, things like that. And there's labor relations. There's all these issues that open up with all these new technologies that we're going to have to address. We're going to have policies for that we may not, be ready for otherwise. So it's kind of a good coaching opportunity, maybe.
One other request too is, can we also ask, can we see the study that was done a handful of years ago?
So the study that you maybe referenced, the only one that's been done since I heard by an outside person was in response to a complaint. That's the only
So
one.
that's a personnel
That's a
issue.
personnel issue. So I wouldn't.
No.
Yeah, and they did a good job. It was kind of.
Would you like to see what a general one looks like, or were you looking for this in specific?
I can reach out to my previous department to see if they still have the old MRI study. See if they have
MRI
it.
was the one I was thinking of as well, because I know that they've done.
I enjoyed working with them.
Yeah.
But that was the last operational audit.
That's what, but it was,
Yeah,
it wasn't an
before,
operational one.
There
it
may have
was
been one
a-
before my tenure.
Was it a
but
crisis audit?
it was
A crisis audit.
But previous administration.
I don't know if there's ever been one.
I can't tell you. I never saw one if it existed.
Okay.
But to your point, I do agree that the closer we can align it with the new fire station, the more benefit, the more value we get out of it.
Good point, and we'll make sure that hits the scoping conversation. When we're talking about pricing and scoping for the project. Maybe it's part A and part B.
Yep.
Okay. And did we,
Question in the audience.
question in the audience? I'm sorry, I didn't even see you.
That's okay. Hi, everyone. Dan Wilga, 8 Dunham Pond Road. So when I saw this come up on the agenda, audits are generally very good to have in municipalities. But I would agree with Mr. Planka. I feel like we're putting the cart before the horse with this audit just because of the new fire station going on right now. As a resident, I just see it right now as something that we should kind of pause on. I do think we should do audits. I mean, not just fire department, but police and other divisional areas. However, like the chief was just saying just now, I mean, a lot's going to change once we get that new fire department and everything. And once all the systems are in place and everything, we can really start to see, okay, this is good timing. And I don't know what the overall costs are going to be right now with an audit. I feel like, I mean, some audits I've done just, you know, in the private sector right now have been excess of $80,000 to $100,000. So I can't imagine what it would be for a municipality, just in that sense. So, I mean, from a financial perspective, I mean, we're really tight on budgets right now, as we all know. So I think we should do an RFP, but the timing just doesn't seem or feel right now. So I just wanted to put that out there as a resident.
Appreciate your perspective.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Any other context?
No, I mean, just you know, I mean, our town administrator's, you know, recommendation, you know, holds weight here, because of the new fire station and, you know, having, you know, been on that committee, I want to just make sure that we are, sending resources after, something productive, you know, with the good. Like it's good to have the audits, obviously, but I want to make sure, as you had said, that maybe there is a way that we can help bridge the transition into the new department, so it's happening.
So I appreciate that perspective. However, I completely disagree with the premise of it. So if we're at a point where we need an audit because it's just been forever, it's never happened and stuff, and we're waiting to point uncertain in the future and saying that a move to a new building would be the trigger to the new audit. You wouldn't want to bring bad practices into a new building and then try to start again. It's actually counterproductive as a leadership tool to do something like that. If anything, it's a great jumping off point is to leave practices behind and already have some real firm ways forward before you go into a new situation. And this is just my obviously personal perspective from moving buildings and being in different areas and having those type of situations for my staff and things that I've done before. So I would say that waiting for something to happen is kind of the same way like people wait for technology to fix issues where the issue needs to be fixed first and then the technology implemented. Any insights that we get will be as relevant now, and that we can attack them before going in the new building and give a real solid toolkit to the chief and the team as they move forward through the process is my viewpoint on it. So I appreciate your viewpoint as well, though.
Well, I'd like to at least see what the scope would be, the cost, because obviously we're not voting on that this evening.
And the cost is gonna be like that big portion for sure.
Right. And I also would like to see, what the potential difference would be from being under the current conditions versus if it were under the new conditions, like if the audit would be the approach would be any different, I guess is what I'm looking for. So.
Point taken. Anyone else? All right, do we need a motion on this, or is this is just a fact-finding mission at this point? So if you can bring it back to the board and with some options and some preliminary scope, and most important, a guesstimate on some pricing.
I was thinking probably getting a quote.
Yeah.
Definitive pricing, yeah.
Yep, that would be great. I think that is that it for you, Chief, or do you have?
I don't think I have anything else. Could be wrong.
I don't think I have you on any other agenda items,
All
right?
right. I'll go home then.
Have a great night.
Hope you do too.
Thank you.
Don't stay up too late, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Would everyone like a brief
No, keep moving.
break? You just want to keep rolling? All right, discuss and possible vote to authorize the select board chair to sign an encroachment license for the Route 79 project. Andrew, take it away.
Thank you.
The Route 79 project, it just keeps rearing its head.
It's the background's winding down on our side at least. The construction's going to heat up next year. But one of the last administrative things is they're called encroachment licenses. There's 13 total on 9 properties in Lakeville. They're in our layout, town owned, but it's not within the project layout. And so I'm asking for an authorization for the chair to sign these agreements when they're ready. It basically says they can keep their, whatever it is, boulders, fences, there's other stuff I can't think of. But we reserve the right to someday come back and move those if we need it.
Okay.
So.
I'm familiar with it from 2019 when we actually had the conversation with Beta on it.
Yeah, okay.
Does anyone else need more context or more data? Okay, we'll take a motion.
Okay.
It's your gig.
You're up.
All right, I'll make a motion that we authorize the chair of the select board to sign any needed encroachment license agreements related to the Route 79 project.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candida away.
Carboni, aye.
Discussion and possible vote on intermunicipal agreement with the city of Taunton related to ongoing Route 79 project. Andrew?
Yes, so the last administrative thing on this that I'm aware of is the IMA agreement. This started many months ago, probably my first month on the job. So you'll see the signature page in the packet is obviously off. We have that fixed in the signature packet. So essentially it lays out the responsibilities of both parties for the project. Chapter 97 plays into it in Taunton.
That's the parks.
That is like permanent conservation land. They have to swap land. That's more on Taunton's side, not ours.
Got it.
But we have looked at it over many months. KP Law looked at it probably a few dozen times, and this is what we came up with. One, I guess, piece of information. We had initially, I think the debt exclusion was to borrow 2.3 million. The appraisals have come in significantly less than we thought they would be. So we're probably only gonna have to borrow, I'm guesstimating probably 1.8 million. So
that's good news.
That's positive news.
I was very worried with how long it's been since we.
Oh yeah.
It was 2019 when we had the vote for this, and the price of real estate has changed slightly since then. So I was worried we didn't have enough. So this is very good news.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of that was the worry that maybe more pieces of land that we owned went into people's properties, or what they owned, what we had to take. So a lot of leeway, which was good from the people back in 2019. They planned it out well.
Well, I'm very, very thankful for it. All right. Any discussion? Any questions from any of the members of the board?
I have, if you go to page 4 of the agreement, or the IMA, for Lakeville, I'd like the address corrected, to represent the true address of the town of Lakeville.
What's on 300 Main Street?
Not sure, and I'm not sure where 02667 is, so.
What was the second piece of that? What was the second piece of that? You said 300 Main and then something else.
Oh, the zip code?
Oh. Yeah, what is that zip code? I don't know. Those are like.
That's the address that has 100 Main Street.
Yeah.
So if we can make sure that it reflects our.
What is it, 384 Bedford?
Yeah.
346.
346.
Yeah.
And then the correct zip, please.
Yeah.
And then the last page, with the current board signatures.
Yeah, she mentioned that.
Oh,
She
thank
has
you.
that. Yep.
Yeah, we sent this over probably at least 6 months ago to sign, and they.
Yep. That
Big delay.
That checks out.
Yeah.
So as long as, they're okay with the fact that we just corrected our address.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll make a motion, with the corrections to, vote to approve the intermunicipal agreement with the city of Taunton as presented.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candida away.
Carboni, aye.
And we've got a water connection here for 2-4 Bedford Street. We have an approved plan via planning board decision to approve contractor bays. They're requesting a water connection via City of Taunton. Taunton has a 16-inch line that runs the full distance of Bedford Street. The water line service would be 2 inches and using partly for irrigation purposes. Yeah. I feel like I have all the information I need.
All right, then I'll make a motion, to approve the water connection application as presented at, 2-4 Bedford Street and reserve the right to modify and or rescind, should actual water use data, change of building use or any other qualifying event requires such action.
Fantastic.
Seconded.
And a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
And thank you for the TA and the team for giving us everything that we need on that in the format. It's perfect.
Of course.
Appointments. All right, so the following appointments are presented for consideration. I'm just gonna read them all out. Are we able to, yeah, we'll do them individually, I guess. Mark Knox, for Conservation Commission. I believe he had a letter of support here from Chair Nancy Yates. Lynn Morley for Community Preservation Committee. I see a letter from Lynn attached. Bob Palucci for ZBRAC, from the board, he's a Board of Health member, right, for the ZBRAC?
Correct.
That is his. Shannon Kilgore for the EDC, who has submitted a lovely resume. And I believe Member Carboni has looked it over extensively. And those would be our appointments. So I will, when's the 3-year term end?
2028, 6/30/2028.
All right, so if the team could put the end of the date, so we can do that going forward. So I'll take a motion for Mr. Knox for the Conservation Commission.
So moved.
And term to expire on 6/3/25. 28, darn it.
So noted.
All right, I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Is Lynn Morley here today? No? Okay. I'll take a motion, for Lynn Morley, for the CPC, for a 1-year term for
30/20/26
6/30/2026.
as the Open Space, Committee representative, so moved.
26.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Bob Palucci to ZBRAC for a 1-year term ending 6/30/26.
As the
As
member of the,
As the Board of Health member to ZBRAC.
so moved.
Seconded.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Shannon Kilgore, is Shannon Kilgore here? There's 30 or 40 people I'm looking for. I'll take a motion for Shannon Kilgore, is this the?
Economic development.
Yes, but this is the, associate member.
The associate member, to the Economic Development Committee for a term of 1 year, 6/30, ending 6/30/26.
So moved.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
All right. We've driven everyone away. Licenses, requested, presented for consideration. Public way license for the application of Lakeville Arts and Music Festival. We have our Arts and Music Festival yearly, and where is, oops,
I think it's in the
is it the second page? or-
Second to last page.
Second to last page.
Did double-sided to try and
I appreciate the double-sided.
killing trees.
All right. It's, the date is October 4th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we're requesting, this is hard to read.
Corner, to use the corner of Precinct and Route 18
Thank you.
to hold the music festival.
Thank you kindly.
And, do we waive the fees on this? Or,
So I would say we used to waive all the fees for this. We don't need a public way fee. It's a nonprofit, it's a town entity, so we don't, as a general rule, charge town entities. The only place that charges the town entities is, Limpon Lodge in town.
okay. Well, then I will approve the public license application for the Lakeville Arts and Music Festival for October 4th, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and waive the public way license fee of $250 for the nonprofit organization.
I'll take a second.
Second.
And motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candy, do I?
Carboni, aye.
Fantastic. And last up is one-day liquor license for Harper Lane Brewery for the Elliott Farm Charity Fundraiser. And
October 12th.
thank you. October 12th from 12 to 7 p.m. at 202 Main Street.
So moved.
I
Seconded.
have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Candy, do I?
Carboni, aye.
And that, which is that. All right. Subcommittee and select board updates. We're gonna start with the Old Colony Regional Voc Tech Building Committee. That is the longest name ever.
Yes, we met last Monday. Give me a second.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, yeah, thank you. So we finalized these, it was a schematic design cost estimate review, and we finalized the total project cost. That is roughly 289 million and some change. The MSBA grant will be about 129 million. And with that now, they're gonna submit, for the MSBA, approval on August 28th.
All right. That number wasn't any different than we've been told before.
It was pretty close to original estimates.
Okay.
Yes,
Within like 1 or 2%. Okay.
correct. Yes, yep.
Thank you. Fire Station Building Committee.
Nothing new to report other than, the fact that again, the bid packets are out. They are due back, I meant to write down the date.
I think they changed it to September 4th now.
Okay.
They delayed it from August 27th to
Okay.
September 4th.
So, we're still very optimistic that these, the bids will be coming under, what we had hoped
Okay.
for. So, but
Is
I'll
that
have
what
another
we're-
meeting.
Is that what we're seeing out in the wild?
Yes.
All right.
And I'll just add to Madam Chair that same thing on the school building. The school building, we get the same data from our consultants. The bids are generally coming in under.
Okay.
So that's,
Fingers crossed.
All right, Technology Advisory Subcommittee. Looks like we have a revised charge for the committee.
yes, one minor update.
Okay, and is that the leverage financial economies of scale?
Correct.
Okay,
That is the only change.
okay.
So do we, Should we vote on that?
Yes. you
Yes.
have to.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And then
It becomes a revision, part of the
Yes.
revision
Okay.
family.
Revision. So I will take a motion to insert the language to the Technology Advisory Subcommittee, under challenges presented to leverage, financial economies of scale into the existing charter document or charge document.
So moved.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt, aye.
Plug eye.
Can you do it?
Carboni, aye.
All right, and then any updates?
Yes, so we met last Wednesday, Andrew, was it last Wednesday?
That was the one that was Tuesday. My bad.
Oh,
Prior to that,
it was Tuesday.
I was jumping ahead. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we met last Tuesday.
Yep.
The school building committee was last Monday.
Correct.
Gotta keep your social calendar. Yep.
Yeah. So, we got an update from our town administrator regarding the website.
Okay,
We are going to have a committee member represent the committee on the Andrews committee that he's putting together for the website. We'd also discussed, what was the other thing we discussed?
You discussed a lot.
what was the dollars?
Transcription. Oh, for the website.
Yeah.
It's around 10,000
Under budget.
under budget.
So our budget was 30, correct?
Correct.
Perfect.
Yep. Right, and the transcription services leveraging AI. So we have a couple of potential solutions. We're gonna continue looking at those solutions. We're also gonna look into Civic Plus.
Did you look at Civic Minutes?
Yeah, I think that's the Civic Plus offering. Oh,
I think it might be. Yeah. They're trying to get quotes, I believe, on like a whole host of them.
right, get quotes and also includes whatever Civic Plus offers. And then after, those were the big items we did. And then we went to an executive session and we discussed the cyber trust, if the board is familiar with the cyber trust report that was
Yep.
done last October. We have all the results, a list of all our vulnerabilities and
Don't list them out here.
no, that's why we did it in executive session. So, we're working with Bob,
Perfect.
to, address those issues. Oh, is a fair number that have already been addressed? So
Are
we're just,
a lot of them expensive or just policy and
It's-
procedural change?
so far, there's been no costs associated with it. It's
Perfect.
mostly been configuration
Music's my
changes.
ears.
But again, a few have been addressed and then we have a fair number that he's going through and putting together. And we'll report back if there are any budget impacts.
Okay,
That's all I have.
thank you. I appreciate it. Member Carboni, where are we at with the Communications and Community Outreach Subcommittee?
So, we didn't have an official, committee meeting because we don't have a full complement yet. However, I did meet with, Andrew, Colleen, and Emily, for probably about an hour to talk about, kind of revisiting the charge. I know that it was pretty comprehensive, that we adopted, a little over, just about a year ago. So we kind of whittled it down a little bit. So we'll be presenting that in September, at our next select board meeting, just to adopt the revised charge. But we did talk a little bit about, kind of what the committee, would look like and how we're gonna roll it out and, some kind of things that will, help benefit and, what our first meeting will look like. So, I'm looking for another, interested party,
Yes, please.
a member at large. So,
If you're a marketing person or a communications person, or you think you'd have, a knack for it, please join the team. Thank you, Member Carboni. Town Hall Building Reuse Subcommittee met last week. We reviewed the old study documents from 2022. We looked over, what is there now. We had some good conversation about how many people it would need to support, and just some suggestions on putting together some ideas between the entire group. We also asked people to go in person to look at the building because some people have not ever gone upstairs. There's no reason to, so being able to tour the whole building and see, where some of our troubles are, gives people a little bit better perspective. We're meeting again, next month, mid-September next month. And we're expecting to have some more robust conversations, but we were all in agreement that this is not a short-term committee, that most of what we're doing now will be planning wise. There won't be a lot of action for the first year or so until, the fire station actually, the firefighters move from current place over to the new fire station. But we're hoping to be prepared with a long laundry list of action items and prices to start addressing and sharing with, the select board. Any new business to come before the board? Oh, Andrew, I almost skipped over you.
No, not yet.
No, not yet. You're good still.
I did?
You're
Oh,
still good.
okay. Your old business. All right. No new business, old business, possible vote on town administrator goals. Andrew, this is a lot. You got it in you? It's a lot of goals in here. I'm very happy. I don't see anything that we talked about missed, here. I think it's really extensive. I know some of these things are already in place, and some of these things are just oversight from you and you're not actually doing them, but I just want to make sure that we're not stretching you too thin and that you're not spending too much time at night in meetings, as well. So, the only goal would be a non-official goal to make sure that you're, spreading the wealth a little bit on some of the meetings that you attend. And if you can't attend them, the idea would be possibly to have Emily attend some in your stead, for those type of considerations.
Yeah, the idea is to kind of like have like a transition period where like I know EDC is going to be primarily Emily.
Yep.
And so like I want to just kind of go the first couple and then step out
Yep.
and have her deal with it. And that's the case probably with a few other ones.
And I appreciate that. Just communicate to the board what your plan is,
Yeah.
because again, the expectation isn't you're working 50 hours and then coming to 3 night meetings every week.
Right. No, I have a good team. Emily, Colleen, Mike is kind of taking control more of the finances and financial departments, and then all the department heads are great. So you make a lot of this stuff is I'm not too worried about. Some of these are like high level, like pie in the sky. Like I know that a lot of the IMA stuff in New Bedford and Taunton, that it's in some ways out of my control. And even the MBTA stuff as well. But I think they're aspirational at least, and if I don't get there, at least I'm gonna go down swinging, I guess.
Yeah. My old boss had a saying, what gets measured gets done. So
Yeah.
let's hope that it helps. Do any of the members have anything that didn't get caught in any of these objectives for Andrew? No.
No. Like the format.
Yep, easy,
Yep.
easy peasy.
45 bullet points is a little bit much.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. This is,
you know.
it'll shrink down, right?
Yeah.
Things will always get easier in the future.
And I mean, to your point, I'm worried it's a little much for one person, so as long as Andrew can successfully delegate
Yep.
his stuff.
We'll know in the
that'll
first
be-
quarter.
Yeah.
It's
Won't
coming
we?
up too.
Yeah.
No update,
Yeah.
no update, no update.
I won't be attending selectmen's meetings
Yeah, I
anymore.
can't.
Select board meetings,
I just
excuse
can't
me.
do it. I
Yep.
can't do it. Well, I appreciate it, and I do see like a lot of these, rely on your team in order for you to execute them, but there are some individual contributor items here that, we can get. This is your first year, there's a lot still to do. I really do vision it, to paring it down for, years 2, 3 and beyond.
Yeah, I agree. Some of the stuff is more structural than anything. Like a 5-year financial outlook in the first year is like that's the goal, but then going forward, that's kind of just a
an ongoing.
It's just an ongoing, doesn't even register that we're doing it.
Yep.
This one, you know, so.
Yep, I appreciate it. All right, if there is no further conversation on this, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, approve the town administrator FY 26 goals as presented.
And receive quarterly updates on the progress made through the year. Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hunt eye.
Look, I,
Indeed, do I.
Carboni, aye.
Fantastic. We have some correspondence from our friends at Verizon. On or after August 15th, HBO Family Channels 406, 407, 906, 907, Movie Max Channels 428, 928, Outer Max Channels 431, 931, and Thriller Max Channels 426, 926, 427 will no longer be available on the FiOS lineup. Thanks, Verizon. And that is that. I don't think I have anything else hiding around here. Does anyone else have any correspondence that came in or anything that I missed? Nothing? All right. And with that, I'll take a motion to go into executive session, possible executive session pursuant MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A3 to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, not to return into open session for national opioid litigation. Reason number 2, possible executive session pursuant to open meeting law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A7 to review and approve executive session minutes not to be released, August 4, 2025, and 3, not to return to open session. I don't know if that's a 3.
Moved.
Yeah, that's not really 3.
I'm like, wait,
You're
I told you, I'm like Ron Burgundy. If it's on a paper, I'll read it. Please be aware this is it. Okay, I got a motion, and did I have a second?
Yep.
A motion and a second. Roll call.
Hunt eye.
look, I.
Candido, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Thank you, everyone, for attending this Tuesday, August 19th, 2025 Select Board meeting.